The important thing is
Hey,
you
everybody.
look good.
Early for the 600th. Here we are.
Yeah, that's because I spent like 30 minutes in the shower just with like hot water running over my head trying to.
Steffi's got
Because
vocal problems.
I have illness problems, yes.
Sadly,
Sorry.
she won't be singing on the show today.
No, definitely. Hopefully, I'll at least be doing some talking. Maybe. Debatable.
Hey, everybody in the audience, 600, yay!
Retirement,
Exciting.
yay!
Yay!
Couldn't have timed that any better, could you? Like,
I know. I
3
didn't.
retirees and
Shenanigans.
2 people working. I love it.
I wish I could say I timed it purposely like that, but I didn't.
Yeah,
Just
we don't do
happened that
that
way.
much planning.
No, I don't do any planning. Anyway, well, good to see everybody. Who do we
Richard
have here?
Adams, hey.
we got a bunch of people here.
So, Jeff,
Yeah.
did you want to just do a little talking about people wanting to join us as a guest? Do you want
Yeah.
to just talk
So,
about that?
yeah, we're going to kind of just play this on the fly kind of a thing. We're not going to release the link yet because we don't want all of you coming in at the same time. But so if you could kind of, space it out a little bit if you can. Although I know that you won't be able to see who else. Now that I'm thinking about it, you're not going to be able to see anybody else who has kind of joined the backstage. Only we can see that. So, if you do join us early and we have several of you there, we're going to be doing it one at a time. We're not going to bring everybody on simultaneously. And so if for some reason you're there and you're thinking we don't see you, it's not because we're not ignoring you. We're just,
Be patient.
yeah. I mean, if you hear, or you can tell that somebody else is on, then that's probably why you're not being brought in to the thing. And then once you are on and you say your spiel, whatever you wanted to say to us, then go ahead and leave. So that leaves another spot. Nothing personal there. That
Yeah. We just
allows
got limited. We got limited slots. We're
Yeah.
slot constrained.
slot constrained. Yes, like the airlines, like the airline ops. We should have Mike Carroll's here to handle the
Yeah. Where is
The,
that guy?
the arrangements of the
logistics.
live. Yeah, the logistics, because he's used to those slot times and stuff.
Do we
do
get
you
to
get
bid
to-
for slots? Yeah, we're open for that, Laura.
Yeah, we're open up right now for bids.
Yeah. Just go on to the coffee fund and no,
Speaking of that, yeah, we're just kidding.
I'm just gonna. Go
Yes,
ahead.
ma'am.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to check to see if we had any last minute coffee fund
Donors?
contributions.
And everybody, you're going to be thrilled. We have an APG Players performance today.
It's going to be amazing.
Woo!
It'll be stunning,
It is
You'll be so
in not a good
loud.
way.
standing room only. It's sold out. It's a sold out performance. And Steph, with her voice, is going to try and power through it.
I'm going to do my best. It's funny. Like sometimes it's fine, and then sometimes it's just completely gone, where I have like nothing more than a whisper.
Yeah. Here's a greeting you haven't heard before, Jeff, from Tim Van Ram.
Pensioner.
Happy birthday,
Well-
pensioner.
No, I'm not really a pensioner, I guess, or am I?
Acme didn't give you
I
a
think
pension.
we
No,
haven't had-
that's not until I start taking Social Security, and I haven't done that yet. So I'm not a pensioner yet.
Well, aren't you going to get pension from your Delta pension? That's a
Well,
pension.
that little PBGC pension, yeah,
Well,
I
it's
guess.
technically a pension.
Okay, all right, okay,
You don't
I'm
get
a
off
pensioner
that
then.
easily.
yeah. Well,
How late can you take your pension? How long can you defer it till?
the one from
Yeah, the government one.
the government till 70.
Oh,
70.
70
Yeah.
or 72? 70.
70. Yeah. That's the max you'll ever get is age 70. So
But
basically
if you
that's-
die before you're 70, who gets all your money?
it just
Nobody.
it vanishes.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jeff, you want to share your good news about the RV? with the crowd?
Yeah, I heard from my RV sales guy, David Shepard, and he said that I'm not actually on the schedule, but the forecast for the schedule usually holds up pretty well. And he said that he sees that my build is on the forecast, and it's going to be like early April. And it's a 19-day build, and they take a couple of days to do testing and that kind of thing, make sure it's good before they put it on the truck to be transported from Manitoba to Florida, whereas the place that I'm going to be picking it up. And so he's thinking maybe early May. So
Cool. That's May 25, yeah?
no, no, May
Nice
24.
one, Nick. You'll have your RV for Memorial Day. Yay!
Yeah.
And RV for Oshkosh, maybe. I don't know.
That would be great.
Yeah. Why can't I see that?
So Jeff, have you got your recorder on there?
Well, I was just doing that. I'm turning on the recorder there, and
Do they not know there are a lot of
Here?
states closer to Manitoba than Florida? Well, Jeff bought in Florida, so.
why is that not working?
It's not working now.
Well, yeah, I don't. Not to get into all the details, but there are only certain dealers that this company uses, and the two closest to me here in Atlanta were Wilmington, North Carolina, and Lakeland, Florida.
Who wants to go to Kakalaki? Who?
I was gonna say that.
I wanted to stay away from
Yeah.
that.
I wouldn't come
all
here.
the time.
Hey, James J.
Van.
Yeah, Nick, bump up your gain a little bit, please. You're very soft.
Okay.
Thanks.
Logan says you're more than welcome to have it delivered to North Dakota there, right where he is. It's pretty close to Manitoba.
I would love to go and pick it up in Manitoba, actually, but they won't let me do that.
They probably
Canadians
want to
won't
bring
let
it
you
across the border. Tony Smith, hi. Super Fred driver.
Okay. I'm going to have to do something here just quickly.
I'm just not going to talk until after we start because
Okay.
otherwise I'm afraid my voice will disappear.
I don't blame you.
It might disappear anyway, but
Okay, so let me go back here.
I'm going to put the Acme logo up right at the beginning, Jeff, while we do our players thing, just so you know.
Okay, but we're going to be on there as well, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll put it on the side, but I just want it there so I can be over on the other one to start
Okay.
it when you need to be started for Roger.
Whatever helps you.
Thank you. Thanks, Tony.
See, I'm not
yes.
grumpy at all.
No, you're a happy, mellow. Now that you're retired, I see the difference in your demeanor. It's amazing.
Well, actually, the difference is that most everything is kind of working so far.
That's good.
You know, knock on wood. On
Just don't touch anything.
Oh, Nick, that's so funny. Jeff and I had a little pre-show thing last night, and I said to him, "Don't touch anything. Just leave it all alone."
That's right. Don't try and change anything.
No.
yeah, she said that when I do things like that, and then right before we start the show, I'm grumpy. I'm thinking, come on, me, grumpy?
Stressed and grumpy.
No, that is a bunch of
never grumpy.
no.
It needed to be said, Jeff. It needed to be said.
I know. There are a lot of things you say, Liz, that probably don't need to be said.
Well, that's true. Even I acknowledge that.
Okay, so I got that there.
Not
I
there?
don't need
Airline
my-
pilot Grump, APG.
Oh, very good. Yeah.
Good, Laura.
Yeah, very funny, Laura.
All right, you want me to remove her from the chat?
Yeah, did you see the note that says our timeouts can go anywhere from like 10
I
minutes
saw
to
that.
24 hours?
Oh, wow.
Well, 24 hours, that'll just about cover a show.
Almost.
Nick is really hot this morning, this afternoon over there.
Well, look at all these people. Super Fred Driver
I
and
know.
Tony
It's great.
Smith and Logan up in North Dakota and James. First time live in a while.
Laura has a backup login at the ready in case we bounce her.
She's got a burner login.
Burner
I heard
login.
she was paid by opposing bases to be in the
Exactly.
chat room today. So
Oh, no. Oh, no.
A burner login to APG. That's pretty interesting.
That's how you know they're actually nefarious people, because they've already
Yeah.
got all the backup in place.
Yeah, how do you don't know all this? Interesting.
Hey, Craig in Montana. Derek Lewis. Hello.
Okay.
Are we ready to roll?
I think so.
Okay.
Let me see here. Let me make sure this intro is ready. And that is that. Okay. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do the APG Players skit, and then we're going to go right into Radio Roger's intro, and then I'm sure it'll just go smooth as butter.
And we're going to sort of do a regular show with our guests brought on throughout the show. That's the plan, right?
That is the plan. And then at
Okay.
some point, Liz is going to pop in the chat there the link.
Yep. After
The
after
invitation?
we get through the intro, I'll pop
Yeah,
it
yeah.
in there.
No hurry on that. And then we'll just intersperse your lovely voices and images while we do the show.
Hope you've all had hair and makeup done this morning.
Yeah, and nothing could possibly go wrong.
0.
Go wrong. Go wrong.
Go wrong.
Go
Go
wrong.
Okay. Are we ready for the skit? Looks like we're starting at 10:07, 10:08, something like that.
Sounds good.
Okay. Here we go.
Scene. Inside the cockpit of an airliner. Captain Jeff is addressing the passengers over the public address system. First Officer Steph is in the co-pilot's seat. Liz, a concerned passenger, is heard in the background.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. Today, the FAA has decided I'm officially too ancient to fly, so I'm passing the torch to the youthful First Officer Steph.
Wait, what? Captain Jeff, are we safe?
Fear not, Liz. Steph here is practically a prodigy. They handed her the keys because apparently I'm at that age where I'm a flying hazard.
Hazard?
Don't worry. Captain Jeff might have a few wrinkles and a lot of gray hair, but the plane and I still have plenty of miles left in us.
Well, that's debatable. This aircraft has seen more sunsets than I have, and I'm not sure if Steph here knows how to handle a relic.
A relic? Should I be concerned?
Not at all, Liz. Captain Jeff just has a unique way of expressing his confidence in my abilities.
Confidence, right. It's like handing over the reins of a vintage car to a teenager.
Teenager?
I promise, Liz, we'll navigate these skies smoothly. Captain Jeff might be retiring, but this old bird still has some tricks up its sleeve.
Well said, Steph. Buckle up, everyone. Liz, take a deep breath. You're in for a safe, albeit slightly dramatic, flight.
Lights fade as the passengers settle in for the journey, with Captain Jeff, First Officer Steph, and Liz preparing for takeoff in this unconventional aviation drama.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. The view from our side of the cockpit door.
WAPG, it's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Airline Pilot Guy episode 600, a milestone.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Hello, you're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show, the view from our side of the cockpit door, with your host, Captain Jeff, broadcasting live from Studio 1A at APG headquarters in Roswell, Georgia. Today's show was recorded on the 30th of December, 2023.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy. Put your light and he's flying by. With the Airline Pilot Guy.
In today's episode, we'll tell you what the busiest international air route was in 2023. And following a string of near collisions, the FAA will reportedly look into air traffic controller fatigue. Also ahead, more news, your feedback, and today's plane tale, Flight 600. So get all settled in, tray tables and seat backs in the upright and locked positions, electronic devices powered on. I'm Radio Roger, and Flight 600 is ready for pushback.
Yay! Thank you, Radio Roger. He's an award-winning TV and radio reporter, currently at the #1 all-news station in the nation, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM in Welcome to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. It's an aviation podcast covering the latest in aviation news and answering your great feedback. I'm Captain Jeff. Wow, the crowd is just going crazy. I'm Captain Jeff, former U.S. Air Force UPT instructor, Starlifter pilot, retired B-727, 717, and Mad Dog captain for Delta Airlines. And joining me today from her lakeside studio in South, Dr. Skydiver, marathon runner, strength training junkie, IPA connoisseur, commercial multi-engine, instrument-rated, backstabbing jumper dumper. It's Dr. Steph.
Hey, Captain Jeff, congratulations on retirement. Happy birthday. All the things. I'm excited to be here. I'm sorry my voice was not excited to be here, but we'll get through this. Looking forward to a great show.
We all love your voice, Steph. And also joining us from his studio,
in Hartford, Hereford, and Hampshire.
professional photographer, former RAF, RAAF fighter pilot, retired Airbus A330 340 captain for Virgin Atlantic Airways. It's Captain Nick. Up.
He's
You're
muted.
muted.
Hi there, Jeff. Congratulations for joining me in the ranks of the unemployed.
It's good to be there, I think. Also joining us from his home studio in the Air Capital, low and slow pilot, A&P mechanic, old airplane enthusiast, and engineer in the aerospace and defense industry. It's Nick Camacho.
Hey, Captain Jeff. I'm glad to be here with everyone. I'm glad to be here for that another well-placed Airbus comment for Captain Nick.
Ah, yes. And also, finally, last but not least, from her studio in Toronto, retired financier and aviation enthusiast, spreadsheet master, and our producer, it's the lovely Liz Piper.
Happy 600th, everybody.
Yay! Happy 600. We made it. Unbelievable. All right.
Okay, have a good show, you guys.
Well, thanks, Liz.
I'll put the
Yeah.
link in the chat in a second.
Okie dokie. Here we go. We're going to go ahead and start off with some aviation news.
Stand by for news.
On December 7th, 2023 at 11:03 Central Standard Time, a Beechcraft 35 C-33 November 5891 Juliet it's a Debonair, was destroyed when it was involved in an accident near Pulaski, Tennessee. The private pilot and passenger sustained fatal injuries. The airplane was operated as a Part 91 personal flight. The flight originated from Knoxville Downtown Island Airport, Knoxville, Tennessee, about 9:48 Central Standard Time. This is, by the way, the preliminary report by the NTSB. They were en route to Saline, or I think that's how you pronounce that, Saline County Regional Airport in Benton, Arkansas. Preliminary Automatic Dependent Surveillance Broadcast, ADSB, data revealed that after takeoff from Delta Kilo X-ray, the airplane climbed, turned to a ground track of 255 degrees, then leveled off for about 12 minutes at 2,500 feet mean sea level before climbing to 6,400 feet MSL. The pilot was in contact with air traffic control, had requested flight following services. As the flight was about 140 nautical miles into the trip, the controller advised the pilot that she was left of course. The pilot acknowledged and responded that she was correcting. About 10:19, the airplane entered the first of a series of climbs and descents, with corresponding fluctuations in its observed ground speed. During these oscillations, which varied in magnitude, the airplane's altitude varied between 6,400 feet and 5,300 feet. About 10:57, the airplane entered a descent that arrested about 4,300 feet at a ground speed of 143 knots, after which it climbed to 6,050 feet and slowed to 85 knots. That's close to stall speed, I think. The airplane then began to descend rapidly, before ADS-B contact was lost in the vicinity of the accident site. During the last several seconds of the flight, the airplane was on a ground track of 262 degrees, descending at a ground speed that reached a maximum of 228 knots, and the estimated maximum descent rate was about 11,900 feet per minute. Again, that's 11,900 feet per minute. That's going down fast. During these altitude fluctuations, the controller twice provided instructions to the pilot to contact Memphis Air Route Traffic Control Center. However, neither of the instructions were acknowledged by the pilot. During the final moments of the flight, a faint communication from the pilot stating the airplane's registration and debonair, followed by an emergency declaration and an unintelligible word. About 60 seconds later, a faint and largely unintelligible transmission from the passenger was transmitted. The controller's subsequent attempts to contact the pilot were unanswered. There were no further communications from either the pilot or passenger. The airplane impacted wooded terrain at an elevation of 971 feet, with the wreckage path oriented on a heading of about 268 magnetic. The wreckage was highly fragmented. The debris field extended in a fan-like pattern about 300 feet long. The tops of several trees leading to the main wreckage were cut off at progressively lower heights, leading up to the main impact with the ground. During the accident sequence, the fuel tanks were breached, and a post-impact fire spread in the vicinity of the wreckage to the surrounding trees and undergrowth. A witness in the vicinity of the accident site stated that the airplane flew overhead at a high rate of speed and described that the engine was running when it impacted the ground. All major components of the airplane were located at the accident site. The engine was partially buried in a crater that was 5 feet deep and 8 feet wide. The engine was severely damaged by impact forces, and crankshaft continuity with cylinder compression could not be confirmed due to internal impact damage. The magneto key was broken off in the switch and set on both. Both magnetos separated from the engine during the accident sequence were damaged by impact forces and could not be functionally tested. Spark plugs were impact damaged but showed minimal wear when compared to the Champion Check a Plug chart. Did not display any evidence of carbon or lead fouling. The propeller blades separated from the hub during the impact sequence. One blade was buried in the impact crater, while the opposing blade was found about 30 feet west of the main wreckage. The buried blade exhibited a significant bend with chordwise scraping and leading edge gouges. The opposing blade had a slight bend and also exhibited chordwise scraping. The propeller hub showed rotational crushing damage. There was no evidence of an in-flight fire. The flight control system components from the cockpit to all control surfaces were significantly damaged or destroyed by impact forces and the post-impact fire. Flight control continuity could not be established. However, all observed breaks of the flight control cables displayed fracture features that were indicative of tensile overload, having broom straw appearances consistent with impact-related separation. The elevator trim was measured and correlated to about 5 degrees of trim tab deflection in the nose-down direction. The rudder, left horizontal stabilizer, and elevator remained attached to the empennage and were free to move when manually manipulated. The cockpit was destroyed by impact forces and fire. No flight instrumentation or gauges could be identified or recovered. The airplane was equipped with a Century 2000 autopilot, and while the instrument panel faceplate was identified, no settings of the autopilot could be determined. The autopilot servos were damaged by impact and fire. The reason why they're mentioning the autopilot, by the way, could be a significant factor in all of this that we'll talk about here in a minute. The wreckage included 2 intact digital video recording devices were retained for further examination, and these were most likely GoPro cameras. Now, the pilot goes by social media Tennessee Fly Girl, and so she has been kind of documenting her training, becoming a pilot, becoming a private pilot, and then advancing, getting some instrument training and that sort of thing. And she's been putting up YouTube videos and I think Instagram stuff. So, she's well known in the social media space. And this is going to be probably a good thing that she had these cameras running because, there's probably good evidence on there exactly what happened. I mean, Captain Nick, you've been calling for this for quite some time in commercial airliners, having videotape recorders going on and seeing what's happening in in the cockpit. So I think that we're going to actually kind of have that information for the investigation.
I think particularly in this case, when there's no real other data you can get from the aircraft, doesn't have a flight recorder, doesn't have a voice recorder, it'll be vital. And it really will help future safety of pilots, because we'll learn exactly what happened, at least hopefully.
Yeah. So Juan Brown, Blancalirio YouTube channel, has been doing I think, a fantastic job of the initial analysis of what happened here. He already has at least 2 videos out describing a little bit of the background of Tennessee Fly Girl. She was flying with her father. They were, as they mentioned in the preliminary report, taking the airplane from Knoxville, Tennessee to somewhere in Arkansas to get some work done on the instrument panel. They don't go into specifics exactly what they were going to have done. But she was having some, in her own videos on YouTube that she had published, was kind of talking about the fact that she was having some problems with her flight instructor, and her flight instructor was getting frustrated with her lack of progress and her exhibiting her flying skills. And then she decided to switch flight instructors to a different one. In the meantime, this was this planned trip to fly the Debonair, which is a pretty high-performance single-engine airplane. I mean, our Nick Camacho can tell us all about it, because that's the airplane that he owns. And they were taking it, as I said, to get the work done in Arkansas. But in an earlier video, just a couple of weeks before this accident, she was explaining, and I guess there are several instances of videos that she had recorded where she was having troubles with the autopilot system on this Debonair. And she thought that it wasn't working properly, but I think that we're going to find that it was just that she didn't quite understand or grasp how to actually use the autopilot system. And the other thing I was going to say is what? Well, anyway, I think that it'd be best to kind of illustrate and Juan Brown's Blancalirio video of a little clip of that to kind of show. Oh, I was going to mention that these videos that she had published on YouTube were, like, in the last 4 weeks or last month, have been taken down. But Juan was able to have access to these before they were removed from the channel. So let's take a look at the this segment that I want to play here that I think is significant. Hang on. Yeah, it's going well.
Then after she let go that flight instructor, Jenny goes and continues to fly with her dad, and her dad is not a rated pilot, and they continue to try to figure out this autopilot system on their own. And this video is only 4 weeks old. All of this has happened within the last month or so. And this is what leads me to believe that she doesn't have a clear understanding of how the autopilot works.
Helicopter 4 Echo Golf, we're now 2 miles south of the field, just maneuvering out here for a second at 2,000.
Boy, she ain't climbing good at all.
You do not press and hold the up button. It's a momentary button switch. But Jenny, why is it not climbing? Because, let me see if I can zoom in on this. There's no power to the engine. There's very little power here. You need to add the power to the engine. There's no auto throttles. You have to climb the aircraft up and trim it. So it's a momentary up button switch, then power and trim to climb to your altitude. But she's got that power way back down here to about 15 inches of manifold pressure.
All right, so right now what I'm going to do, while this is autopilot, and I'm
It's not the autopilot. It's the operator.
I'm a little ways off here.
I've been
So
holding it up, but climb.
just watch my airspeed if you don't mind.
But what about your I can't see.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be at 43.
43.
If you don't add power and you demand the aircraft to climb, what's going to happen to your airspeed?
And I'm going to try to get this.
Still a very low power setting. Still climbing about 400 feet per minute. That autopilot's working fine.
Yeah, I'll watch my.
Showing trim up.
Flashing trim up light.
We're getting too close to stall speed. Stop it.
Stop it. There.
See?
Yep.
She finally does the right thing and disconnects the autopilot, but clearly doesn't understand why all that happened.
Okay, as I said, this is just an example of her issues with using that autopilot and understanding how it works. So that could be a significant factor in this investigation. Now, I'd love to hear from Camacho because she's flying the airplane that you own and have been renovating, restoring, whatever the proper term is. What do you think here?
So the first thing I have to say is I don't have an autopilot on my airplane, and I have not flown. I have very limited experience with autopilot equipped airplanes, but I will say that the Bonanza is a pretty stable airplane. The trim is very powerful in terms of, like in some airplanes, you've got to scroll the wheel a couple of times. In the Bonanza, the movement on the trim wheel is more like in fractions of turns. So like when I take off, I might be turning the trim wheel 30 degrees to trim for a cruise power setting versus, giving it a couple of spins or whatever you might do in like a Grumman or a Cessna. He mentioned 15 inches of power. I'm not sure which engine her airplane had. But in my airplane, 15 inches is what I use to descend and fly in the pattern. So with about 14 or 15 inches and 24 or 50 sit on the propeller, that gets me about 90 or 100 knots straight and level with the gear out. So expecting like Juan said, expecting the airplane to climb in that configuration does not seem like she had a great grasp of how to configure the airplane and the power settings for the airplane. And then the other thing I was going to mention is it was clear. It was no clouds. I think it said the visibility was 10 miles. So that's basically like a really nice day. And so it's unfortunate if the autopilot issue ends up being the case. It's unfortunate that a pilot who had all of her visual indications outside the cockpit let the situation devolve. I can understand, getting behind a piece of equipment or struggling to understand what's going on relative to a piece of equipment. But if that was the case and she let the situation devolve so far on a VFR day that she couldn't recover the airplane, that'd be unfortunate.
It almost seems like she just had a basic lack of understanding of like basic flying fundamentals. You pull back on the stick or the yoke, you push the throttles forward and the opposite. It's even if you're flying it through the autopilot, you're still flying the airplane. The autopilot, there are not auto throttles on this airplane. It's not automatically going to add power when you're demanding a climb from the autopilot.
Yeah. And I was talking through this with my dad, and we were trying to figure out like all the different things that could have been confusing or could have been harder to understand in a scenario where you're frantic or, kind of you have like a helmet fire situation, and there's all sorts of things that, in my mind, seem like you would be much more significant in like a IMC situation, where either if you got yourself unintentionally into IMC, or if you're a lower time instrument pilot and you're expecting the autopilot to do something and it doesn't, and it puts you behind the airplane. I could understand these things happening, but for someone in a VFR day, you know, like for instance, I think Juan mentioned this in his video, I'm not sure, but the autopilot doesn't have automatic trim. So some of these airplanes have a trim servo, and then the autopilot either automatically trims the airplane, or they have electric trim, and you can just run trim on the, it'll have like a trim switch on the thumb position of the yoke. And so that is a little more logical, I think, because if you're holding the yoke and you want the nose to go down or the yoke to go forward, you can just kind of bump that switch forward in the same direction that the yoke goes. With the manual trim, it's on a wheel. And in my mind, it's fairly logical, you know, because you reach forward and like to put the nose down, you roll the trim wheel up. And so you're basically rotating the airplane in the same direction as the trim wheel. So that makes sense to me. But, you know, if you're getting a trim up indication on the autopilot and you've got 1,000 things going on, is it, you know, I guess it could be possible that she's rolling that trim wheel in the wrong direction. I'm not sure.
You notice in that video, again, the video that we just watched with Juan Brown was a couple of weeks before the accident flight, so we don't have any video from that, at least not yet. But it's interesting because, you know, when she was demanding the flight, the 400 foot per minute climb on the autopilot, without adding power, and, you know, she was getting concerned because it was getting close to stall speed. And then when she finally did the right thing, as Juan mentions, by clicking off the autopilot, did you see how the yoke just jumped forward pretty significantly? That shows the thing was way out of trim. Steph, I think you wanted to say something.
No, I just, the only comment I was going to make, it's interesting that she has all these YouTube videos. Interesting. I wonder how many, and you can't go back and look at them now, unfortunately, but I wonder what kind of comments were being left for her if she was posting these videos to her YouTube site. Surely someone would have said, hey, if you wanted to climb, you know, you might want to consider adding some power as well, not just demanding it from the autopilot. So I'm wondering if any comments like that were actually made, if anything, you know, she could have gone back and taken into consideration.
Well, nobody ever reads those comments on YouTube. So
yeah, I know it's hard to trust someone who you don't. Really
I mean, it's not, you know, it's not coming from, you know, someone who's a flight instructor or anything like that, but certainly folks who would have been following her site presumably had some sort of interest in aviation and flying, and I wonder if any of those things, you know, could have been brought to her attention beforehand.
I understand entirely why you made your remark, Jeff, that if it starts going wrong, take the autopilot out. But she was trying to self-teach on how to use the autopilot in the aircraft. So she hasn't got a simulator to experiment with. She's had some lessons. She's obviously conflicted in her level of knowledge. But there's two critical areas that the autopilot isn't helping her. Nick's exactly right. The autopilot won't trim itself out. So if you are using the autopilot to fly, and you get the aircraft in and out of trim situation, by changing speed or starting a climb or descent, it'll flash lights at you saying, I'm out of trim now, you need to correct this by moving the trim wheel. I don't think she was necessarily doing that, or it wasn't part of her routine at that point. She hadn't got there. And of course, the other thing, the auto throttle, that's the other thing that she was neglecting. So it was almost like she hadn't really tweaked that this autopilot wasn't going to do everything for her. Of course, once she got the aircraft into an out of trim situation, and that's what we're assuming or guessing had occurred, and it was a nose down out of trim situation. I suspect that as the when the autopilot kicked out, or she ended up in a situation where the aircraft is descending. And of course, the faster it goes, the more aerodynamic force that trim will have on the elevator, and deflect it even further, making it harder and harder as the speed increases for her to pull out of the dive. There's even a suggestion that although he wasn't qualified, his father might be used to helping out by moving things. He might even have tried to reset the trim, but of course not necessarily perhaps in the right direction, might have made things even worse. They found with about 5 degrees nose down trim, which I believe is about half the setting, and Nick's already suggested how powerful that trim is, and it's quite likely that it exceeded her strength during the final part of the flight to actually raise the nose again, even though the autopilot was no longer a factor. So there are a number of areas there which are pretty basic, and I think if you're teaching someone how to use an autopilot, you need to teach them a routine of how to pick up on those things you have to do whilst the autopilot is doing its things. And you've got to isolate them. All right, the autopilot's going to do this, that, and the other, but I need to continually fly the airplane, make sure it's in trim, make sure it's got the right power setting for the stage of flight I'm in. And I don't think she got to that stage.
So I'm wondering, it seems to, no, maybe I'm an old codger, old retired guy, but it seems like the newer generation of flyers out there are using the autopilot as a way of like AI. It's just going to do everything for you. You don't have to I got to get that autopilot on, and then I can just sit back and let it do its thing, not understanding that even in the most sophisticated of our airplanes out there, you still, as a pilot, have to fly the airplane through the auto-flight system. And I'm not sure that, I think there's a major disconnect perhaps going on. I don't know. What do you all think?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
certainly.
agree.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we had a major incident on our airline, for heaven's sake, and these are very experienced pilots, where a guy was moving from the Boeing to the Airbus. He was making an approach. He was on the Airbus. He had autopilot, but the auto thrust system was unserviceable. And he got himself into a coupled ILS, so the autopilot's quite happily flying this airliner down the ILS, but he completely forgot that he was supposed to be moving the throttles. So the aircraft got slower and slower and slower until he made it to the runway, but he was at such an extreme angle that he hit the tail on the runway on landing. So, even really experienced guys can get themselves into a situation where they forget, well, in fact, both pilots forget a simple control action that would have rescued the situation.
Wow. Well, we have a live audience here. You all should engage in this if you ever get a chance to. iHall Boxes says, story has it, Miami Rick used to always set the trim to full nose down to get some extra bicep reps.
I'd recommend nose up. It's a bit safer.
But then those are different
triceps.
muscles. Yeah,
different muscle group.
That's true. Yeah, well, that accounts for the footprints on the instrument panel that he often leaves.
So, this is going to be an interesting investigation. I think, as I mentioned, I think it's a great thing that she is a social media diva because, and I mean that in a good way, not a bad way, who has perhaps digitally recorded exactly what happened. This is really going to help the investigation team come up with the probable cause. But I think we all suspect that it had something to do with the fact that she just misunderstood exactly how to operate the autopilot.
Yeah, very sad.
Hey, we have somebody in our green room, and we're going to bring him in. It is formerly the Big Ass fan, Greg Peterson. He's unmuted, I think.
Yes.
Okay. Hey, Greg Peterson, come on in.
Hey, how are you guys?
Great. How are you,
Greg?
sir?
Nice to see you.
Hey, Nick.
Yeah, so it looks like, is this your new digs there up in the Cincinnati area?
Yeah, I'm down in the basement.
Looks nice.
It's Christmas decorate day at our house today.
Oh,
that's
boy.
a bit early. We try and get at least a month out of it.
Well, ours has been up since before Thanksgiving.
Oh, so you've had plenty of time with the Christmas decorations already.
Yes.
Then,
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
We went to Texas for Thanksgiving, and so my wife wanted it all up before we got. So when we got back, it was done.
Excellent. So I'm glad that you were able to join us for episode 600, Greg.
Yeah.
And Greg and I had a nice, he helped me celebrate my 35th Deltaversary back on the 15th of December. I met Greg at the airport, talked about it on an earlier show. And he was the first one to see my 35-year pin.
Yes.
And we got to toast to the 35-year career with Delta Airlines. It feels funny for me not to say Acme. I can say Delta now because I'm officially no longer an employee of Delta Airlines, which I think they're very happy about.
I'm sure they'll miss you.
So did you want to say anything to our community, Greg?
No, I just took a break from the undecorating to drop in and say hello.
Okay. Well, very good. Well, thanks for, I'll tell you what, we don't have anybody here yet to replace you, so you can hang out for a few minutes while we cover our next news item. What do you all think? Is that good, Liz?
That's great.
All right. This one is from the Aviation Herald. Canadian North Avion de Transport Régional, an ATR 42-300, registration Charlie Golf Kilo Lima Bravo, performing flight 620 from Yellowknife to Kugluktuk, Northern Territories. Yeah, that deserves. There we go. With 17 people on board, departed Yellowknife in freezing rain after being de-iced. However, immediately after rotation, the stick shaker activated and a flight control indication activated. The crew stopped the climb at 1,500 feet, identified a stick shaker fault, retracted the landing gear, however, now received indication the right main gear did not come up. The gear was selected down again, 3 greens were observed, the crew declared pan, returned to Yellowknife for a safe landing. The Canadian TSB reported prior to departure, 1/8 inch of ice had been observed on the exterior of the aircraft. The aircraft was de-iced. The AOA vanes were checked for freedom of movement. After landing, the maintenance team conducted a landing gear retraction overspeed inspection, replaced the right-hand landing gear uplock box, replaced the crew alerting computer, and cleaned the AOA sensors. A satisfactory verification flight was completed, and the aircraft was returned to service. And I think both pilots put on new trousers as well. They didn't include that in the report here. So you don't mess with, especially in the cold, white north, the Arctic Circle up there with any kind of frozen precipitation, especially freezing rain and ice.
Now, why is that, Jeff? Why don't you like freezing rain? It's quite pretty, isn't it?
Oh, it is really, really pretty when you're sitting.
And it's really funny on the YouTube videos, watching all the cars crash and everyone fall over.
That's true. I mean, those are some good things about it. However, on an airplane, it has a negative impact on your flight control surfaces and lifting surfaces.
Indeed. And freezing rain, of course, is the quickest way to get clear ice on your aircraft, whereas other types of precipitation will often freeze into rime ice, which is, if there is a safe kind of ice, that's the safe kind. Clear rain, freezing rain, will develop often into clear ice because as it impacts on the surface of the wing, it gains a little bit of heating from that friction as it smacks into the wing, which stops it from freezing instantaneously, and it'll often dribble back down the aerofoil before settling into a nice layer of shiny, transparent ice that it's really hard to see. So, and it builds up quite quickly, and it's extremely heavy, and of course changes the shape of your wing, which often makes it less efficient. So all in all, it's a horrible thing to have. Now, they'd already cleared off the ice once. Now, of course, you do pray that the guy who was doing the de-icing did a really good inspection, because clear ice is hard to spot. And if you're freezing cold yourself in one of those little cabins with your de-icing hose, or however they're doing it up there, it's not necessarily the simplest thing in the world to check that the job you've done has been sufficient to clear all the ice off.
So I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
So in this case, with this freezing rain, would this be a case for not just de-icing, but also using, which is the other type of
anti-icing
anti-icing fluid as well?
If it's still precipitating, yes. But
I think in this case that the conditions on the actual takeoff were initially, everything was free of snow and ice, and then they may have flown into some kind of an inversion layer and getting the freezing rain once they were in the air. And at that point, you're at the what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know, rhubarb.
Yes, that's it. You're at the rhubarb of your in-flight de-icing equipment, and it may not be able to handle a lot of, a quick accumulation of icing from the freezing rain, in the air. So maybe they did everything they could possibly do. Maybe everything was, clean as a whistle when they actually began their takeoff. I don't know.
Do you think there's a link between the gear fault and the ice?
I think so. It seems like it would be, or maybe it's just coincidental. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, hey, Greg, good to see you. I hope that you had a great Christmas holiday season, and I hope you have a great New Year. Anything you want to say before we have you leave us and we bring in somebody else from our community?
Nope. Just wanted to stop by and say hello. Wish everybody a happy New Year, and hope you guys have a great rest of the show.
Awesome. Thank you.
Super.
Appreciate
See
it.
you on 700.
Yep.
Happy New Year, Greg. Great to see you.
All right. And now look who's here. It's Nick's brother,
There's
Mark
a doctor
Anderson.
in the house.
Wait, no, that's a different Mark Anderson. It's a doctor. Hey, how are you doing, Mark?
I'm good, thanks, Jeff. Hello, Jeff. The two Nicks and Steph. It's good to see you all.
Good to see you, Mark.
Yeah.
Brilliant to see you. Could you do a quick diagnosis of Steph while you're on, please, Mark?
Sounds like a
'Cause
very
I haven't
nasty
already-
sore throat to me, I think.
Yeah, because I haven't already diagnosed myself, so we can
whiskey
get into
gargle. That's
Yes,
what you need,
exactly.
Steph.
Is this the first time? Is this history being made? Not only is it the 600 episode, but the first time I think we've actually had two doctors on.
Oh no,
Yes,
it's
good
a
point.
doctor takeover of the airline.
Yeah, and two pilots as well. I mean, Dr. Mark, you're a pilot as well?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. So two doctor pilots, and they're both still alive. That's amazing. Yes, we need that. Very good.
Thank you.
Well done. Well done.
Hey, I've done you a special adaptation of my APG 500
Ooh.
mug here.
Oh, I like it. Here, wait. Let me zoom in. There we go. Oh, nice.
Excellent. Well done.
Awesome.
Yeah, I can't even tell that you made a modification there, Mark.
No. And you'll be able to use that on the 900th show as well. Just
That's
turn
right. Don't throw that
around.
away.
Just pour your beverage out, and that'd be 009. That would work.
The writing will have worn
Oh,
off
that's
by
not
then.
right. So, did you have a nice? Are you enjoying your Christmas holidays, Mark? There in
Thank you very
the
much.
UK.
Apart from the lack of any decent flying weather, it's been terrible here. It's windy and wet all the time.
So I should I should have mentioned before. So when you come on, you should say from where you're coming to us. And are you in Wales right now, or are you in?
Yeah, I'm in Swansea in Wales. Yeah.
Awesome. And Mark, if you'll remember that Mark is a doctor for the CAA. Oh no!
Not allowed.
Acme Aviation.
No, Acme.
Aviation Authority, yes.
Staff, delete that reference. Okay, they got
Indeed.
it. They're giving me thumbs up.
Yeah. By the way, Mark, my son has just moved to Cardiff, so if you see some itinerant death metal drummer wandering around, you'll know who he belongs to.
I'll keep an eye out for him there.
Cheers.
So, do you have anything to say or add to our analysis of either of the first two news stories, Mark?
I just felt a bit sorry for Tennessee Fly Girl. I think it just makes me feel a bit uncomfortable watching this all being analysed. Sort of, you know, I know Blancalerio does a great job on these sort of breakdowns of what's happened, but it was one I really didn't enjoy watching and stopped partway through. I thought, no, I think I'd just step away from that. And,
Yeah, a bit close to home, eh?
yeah,
Yeah.
for me anyway.
It is.
Yeah.
I think for most of us, that's true. Yeah, perhaps I shouldn't have kind of played Blancalerio.
No, it's an important lesson. And
Yeah,
the icing story, well, we've all had our icing encounters, I suspect. I remember, I'm not a very experienced GA pilot, but flying into the top of one of those friendly-looking, fluffy cumulus clouds on a summer day and ending up like I was inside a deep freeze. I couldn't see anything at all. So that's nasty
Impressive.
stuff, ice. Except when it's in your drink. I mean,
That's very true. Except glider pilots seem to do it for fun. There's a whole raft of them who enjoy thermaling up inside QNIMS, and I'm going, really? you do what?
Are they allowed to do that?
Do they pick up ice?
Instrument gliding?
Yeah, indeed. Yeah.
Oh my!
If you get struck by lightning and the whole 9 yards. So, wow.
That's not
some of them
like
come
fun.
down in their gliders, and some of them come down outside their gliders.
Yes,
Sounds like
that's right.
Sounds like a bunch of cowboys.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Yes.
Oh yeah, I'm sure we have something to play for that. Yeah.
Anyway, I don't want to hog the airwaves, but just to say happy birthday, Jeff. I'm
Thank you.
behind you in the age stake, so a couple of months to go to my 65. So I hope
Ah,
you
you're
enjoy
so
yours.
young. So young.
I hope you're enjoying your retirement and the RV comes along soon. I can't wait to hear about it. And thanks for 10 years plus of podcasts and helping me through many sleepless nights and long drives to work. So
And
much
giving you
appreciated.
nightmares. It's our pleasure, Mark. It's so nice to meet you, and it was so nice meeting you in person in the summer when I was there.
Good to see you. And once again, I'm sorry about that atrocious Korean barbecue. It was terrible.
Oh, it wasn't that bad. I thought it was pretty decent. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Mark.
You barbecued a Korean? Isn't that sort of against the law?
Yeah. Can we take that out in post? Okay. Well, thanks for popping in. We really appreciate it. We appreciate
All the best,
everybody out
Mark.
there in our audience.
Yeah,
Happy New Year!
Cheers, Mark.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Looks like we don't have any new victims to bring in, and so we're going to move on with our next story. And this is not about crashes or incidents. It's more of an uplifting story, and this is from, of course, it's from Paddle Your Own Canoe. With a flight time of just over an hour. This is, by the way, the headline from Paddle Your Own Canoe. The busiest international airline route in the world in 2023 was between Kuala Lumpur and Singapore. With a flight time of just over an hour and covering a distance of a little more than 180 miles. I'm thinking, that's not a very fast airplane.
No, it's not. I was thinking that also.
Because I started doing the mental gymnastics thinking, well, I fly from Atlanta to Birmingham, or I used to fly from Atlanta to Birmingham, and that was like a 25-minute flight, and that's 250 miles. So something wasn't matching
Are all of these
up.
flights being done in Cessna Caravans?
That
makes a
maybe
little more sense.
a lot of them though, Steph, because let me see, they have the mileage or seats, 4.9 million available seats.
Wow.
For the year.
They estimate for the year.
By the way, I can help you
Not
out
on one
with the
flight.
maths, Jeff.
Yes.
Doing 180 miles in an hour is averaging 180 miles an hour.
Thanks. I actually did that in my head too.
But do it in knots.
Yeah, what is it in knots? Like 160 or 158?
161.5.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Anyway, so that, again, is between Kuala Lumpur and Singapore, Changi. IHAL Boxes has this to say: aviation stories are just so uplifting, or technically lift generating.
Indeed,
yes. So
they lift
funny.
and separate. Very good.
Your humor, IHAL, is so
very impressive.
Yes. Let's see. Let's go back here to this article. There are as many as 34 daily flights between Kuala Lumpur and Singapore. Just behind was Cairo in Egypt to the Saudi Arabian city of Jeddah, with 4.8 million available seats in 2023. In third place was Hong Kong to Taipei with 4.6 million available seats for the year. That's not just one flight. Rounding out the top 5 busiest international airline routes of 2023 were Seoul, Incheon to Osaka, Kansai in fourth, and Seoul, Incheon to Tokyo, Narita in fifth. The only North American or European route to feature in the top 10 busiest routes was New York JFK to London Heathrow, which came in at 8th place with 3.9 million available seats. Heathrow also made the list of one of the busiest international airports in the world, ranking second behind Dubai International Airport. Third place was taken by Amsterdam's Schiphol, and then Paris Charles de Gaulle came in fourth, and Singapore Changi took fifth. There are, however, different methods to rank airports, and if you take domestic flights into consideration alongside with international flights, then Atlanta Hartsfield International becomes the clear winner yet again.
Hooray!
Yay! Yeah, now that I'm not flying.
He was hardly flying anyway, Liz.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, well, thanks. I need it for sure. Dubai International retained the number 2 spot for the second year in a row. Haneda in Tokyo moves up 1 spot to the 3rd busiest international airport, and London Heathrow comes in 4th. Dallas-Fort Worth falls from 3rd to 5th busiest in 2023. So interesting stats there for big airports for sure. Any commentary regarding that?
Well, yeah, I always thought that Heathrow cheats a bit because everything that comes to Heathrow from across the channel is an international flight. So that sort of bumps up their international status a bit more. But I was quite pleased to see them coming in at least the 4th busiest in the world for actual movements. It's good.
We all were so happy about that.
So Adam must be working really hard, is all I can say.
Well, not sure about that.
Well, there's not many of those airports will only have 2 runways.
Yeah, that's true.
So you're making do with what you've got really well. That's what you're saying.
Indeed, yeah. They can squeeze a lot in.
Well, Laura in our audience, have they counted the air route between Jeff's bathroom and Hillel's home airport?
Good point.
Very good point.
Good point, Laura.
If that was actually a commercial location, I think that we would have just broken all the records, or Hillel would have.
Yes.
Awesome. Good comment. Thank you, Laura. All right, moving on. Another one from Paddle Your Own Canoe. Swiss International Airlines to use artificial intelligence to count passengers with special cameras installed at the aircraft door. They're trying out a new digital boarding system, which uses AI to conduct a passenger count, makes sure no stowaways have managed to sneak on board. The Zurich-based carrier has decided to adopt the system after a successful 3-month trial conducted earlier this year. During the trial, the airline wanted to make sure that the AI model could work in various light conditions and detect a parent carrying an infant in their arms. Unlike some airlines that rely on automated passenger reconciliation via boarding pass scanners, cabin crew at the Swiss flag carrier are still required to conduct a manual head count of passengers using an old-fashioned clicker. Interesting. New system makes the process obsolete. Swiss says it expects the boarding process to be a lot quicker as a result. So, interesting story there. A little bit more information about the company that came up with developed the system. will be.
It is quicker, Jeff, until it makes a mistake. Because if you don't tally, then you got to start all over again. And having counted the passengers, then what are you going to make them all leave the aeroplane and count them in a second time? Not sure how they're going to cope with that.
And what's to prevent someone using the manual clicker from making a mistake anyway? You accidentally click it twice or miss it.
Yeah. Probably
Yeah.
more of a chance of making mistakes using the clicker method, right?
Yeah, I'm sure, but I still don't see how they're going to get. Well, I don't know. People will, when they work out what's happening, just for fun, they're going to walk on the airplane, then they'll duck down, run out, and come back on a second time just to see if they can fool the system. You know what folk are like.
Is this a problem that needs to be solved?
I don't think so.
I feel like there's when I'm standing there waiting to board an airplane, I feel like there's 100 things where I'm like, man, this could be done so much better. And counting the passengers as they walk through the door is not one of those things that I think of.
I mean, it would be much better to have video cameras in the cabin that would just spot empty seats.
Well, there you go.
Good point.
I think it'd be cool to use AI, like if they wanted to tighten up their weight and balance procedures or something and try to figure out how to use AI to get a better estimate of the physical characteristics of everybody that got on the airplane. I think that's something that AI could do better than people, but this just doesn't seem like it would be adding a lot of value.
No, it's almost like using AI to use AI.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I think you might be right there, Jeff. And considering that the AI program I use to do artwork can't even work out how many fingers people are supposed to have.
That's a big red flag
I'm not
there.
filled with confidence.
I'll point out it was AI that generated our APG players skit as well. But
See how good that is.
Pretty spot on.
I did add a lot of gray hair. I don't know if you noticed that.
I did
That was
notice,
not in the original.
A few tweaks,
Yeah, a little. Yeah, you just gotta. That's what Nick does. He takes the initial offering from AI, and then he does a lot of manual work using Photoshop.
He takes the
and
teeth out of all the various parts of the body and puts them all back in the mouth, and
gets the right number of fingers. That kind of thing.
That's the old moustache.
Yes, exactly. Hey, this next one this is from the BBC, believe it or not. Here's the headline. A firm develops jet fuel made entirely from human poo. Yes, and this is sent to us from Sir Peter of Kent, and he said, what a load of... So, let's see. Chemists at a lab in Gloucestershire, did I say that right?
It's not bad.
Yes, have turned the waste into kerosene. James Highgate from Firefly Green Fuels, he's the CEO, said, we wanted to find a really low-value feedstock that was highly abundant and stinky. And, of course, poo is abundant. Independent tests by international aviation regulators found it was nearly identical to standard fossil jet fuel. Firefly's team worked with Cranfield University to examine the fuel's life cycle carbon impact. It concluded that Firefly's fuel has a 90% lower carbon footprint than standard jet fuel. Mr. Highgate, who has been developing low-carbon fuels for 20 years, said although the new fuel was chemically just like fossil-based kerosene, it has no fossil carbon. It's a fossil-free fuel. Of course, thank you. Energy would be used in production, but when looking at the fuel's life cycle, a 90% saving is mind-blowing. So yes, we have to use energy, but it's much lower compared to the production of fossil fuels, he added. Across the world, flying contributes around 2% of global carbon emissions, which contribute to climate change. And a small, did you like I changed the little caption for that photo of James Highgate. I added the last couple of words there. I was hoping somebody would notice that. His quote is, James Highgate said that the new fuel is hugely exciting and very stinky.
I was just going to comment that it might add a different quality to contrails in the, if you fly through one or when one drifts down to the
it won't
Earth's
just
surface.
water vapor anymore?
No, it'll be stinky water vapor.
Well, it's pretty crappy. This whole idea. Actually, it's pretty amazing. Now they go into a little bit more detail in the article about how much poo is required to make a certain quantity, and I think they said the UK's total sewage supply would meet about 5% of the country's total aviation fuel demand. He said it may sound small, but he insists that's pretty exciting. So
Yes.
And I do appreciate in our chat room, Jennifer says, let's use dog poo. I have tons of that.
Oh,
Anyone who's
good
got,
idea.
four-legged friends.
Yeah.
Jen, you collecting it or something?
Well, you have to collect it for a short period of time before you
That's true,
dispose of
yes.
it.
Actually, this is the hardest thing, surely, is going to be getting hold of it all. I mean, in the olden days, they usually had people that would go around and collect all the urine and all the poo. Yeah, so perhaps it's perhaps a new job we can invent for people in England.
Yeah,
Well,
Mayman
if we
Micah.
could-
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, if we could make it efficient enough, Nick, we could just have the conversion system on the airplane.
Oh yeah,
And then you-
absolutely, yes.
And then
All the passengers sitting on toilets.
Yeah.
And then feed them really hot curries and things.
then you don't even have to fuel up the airplane between
Exactly.
legs.
I think you're simplifying the process of distilling this kerosene fuel from poo a little bit too much.
Of course, like a lot of these biofuels, I do worry that the energy required to distill it and turn it into kerosene might actually exceed the benefit we're going to see from it. But I don't know. Well, perhaps.
Yeah, it's an interesting
perhaps it is,
concept.
but I don't know.
That's
Yeah,
for sure. Just a reminder to everyone while we were doing the live recording of episode 600, yay, we are inviting those who are in our live audience to join us if they'd like. And we have a link that you can use to join us and say hello and give us some well wishes or maybe negative commentary. I don't know.
Oh yeah, abuse us. Yeah.
Oh, it's not allowed? Okay. Well, you know what would be fun, though, if somebody came on and had some negative commentary, we could just roast them alive while they're here with us. So
Indeed.
that's something to consider. All right. We're at the 1 hour mark, according to Liz. Yeah, come on in, Laura. Let's see. Let's go with this next item from CNN.com. The FAA, the Federal Administration, is taking Federal Aviation Administration, that too, is taking a new step to address its overworked and chronically understaffed air traffic controller corps. The agency is expected to announce this week that it is convening a special panel to review the impact and safety risks of on-the-job fatigue facing air traffic controllers, two sources familiar with the announcement said. The FAA declined to comment. The move follows a string of near collisions this year involving commercial flights on or near the runways of major airports. Short-staffed air traffic control towers was among the issues cited in a report last month from an expert panel the FAA assembled to address the close calls. In a near collision at Austin Bergstrom International Airport, or I like to call it Ostrom. In February, the air traffic controller involved was working an overtime shift during a 6-day work week. And let's see, and they talk about some other near collisions at various airports. And the FAA has been repeatedly criticized for not addressing the issue of air traffic controller staffing more aggressively, with the agency facing a shortage of more than 3,000 controllers here in the U.S. The head of the National Air Traffic Controllers Association, NATCA, I guess, labor union said last month the FAA's hiring efforts produced only 6 new controllers in this past year. Now, that can't be right. No.
Well, that does seem a complete waste of
6?
effort. But then again, I do remember listening to the best aviation podcast in the entire world.
Uh-huh.
And they seem to suggest that actually the window for applying was very small, and it wasn't like they seem to were making a great effort to attract all sorts of people to the industry, and that seems to be reflected if that number is correct.
That can't be right. 6? Yeah, that could be, Liz. It could be a net gain. I don't know.
Well, that
how long does it take to train them?
Go ahead.
I was going to say there's a link to that in the story, and it links to a CNN story that says the Air Traffic Control Union, National Air Traffic Controllers Association, President Rich Santa told the Senate subcommittee Thursday that growth in the thousands is needed, but the air traffic controller workforce has grown by only 6 fully trained controllers over the last year.
Oh my gosh!
So a net number then, basically.
Wow.
They've got to be playing with like semantics a little bit there, right? Like there may be a bunch of controllers who aren't fully qualified, but they're qualified in like some positions, but not all, or something.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Nick. Because, I mean, you start off in ground and then you go up and the tower and control the circuit, and then you go and do radar. So there are lots of steps to become fully qualified, and I'm guessing it could take years.
Well, yes, Liz? Yeah, some are leaving to become pilots. That is true. What is that I'm hearing? Oh, okay. Liz has some kind of alarm going off in the background. I'm looking at all my technology here going, what is it that's making that noise? But
600 shows that you still haven't got it right.
No, we'll never get it right.
That's for anyone out there who's interested in a classic, you should find the show where Captain Nick and Captain Jeff try to find the beep in the hotel room.
Yeah, it took my hotel room apart.
It was a classic.
That was one of the best ones, I think. Speaking of one of the best.
It's a good show. No, it's a very good show. It's one of the better aviation podcasts out there.
Yeah, that's from the Podfather, one of the originators of podcasting. Yeah, so those OB guys might be the very best, but we're one of them up there. I do, Liz. Yeah. So let's see. This next item is from skygofly.com. Skygofly.com. Interesting. In a recent weather event early Sunday morning, Buenos Aires was hit by an extreme storm causing widespread disruption and tragic loss of life. The storm brought intense rainfall and powerful winds, leading to significant damage throughout the city. Regrettably, the storm has been responsible for the death of at least 13 individuals. Now, we have some video that someone took of the storm in progress, and a sad little 737, it appears. And so let's play this little video. Here we go. Yeah, look away, Jennifer. The air stairs are going to get hurt. Oh, no. So this 737 was turned 90 degrees. I'm wondering, did they not have the parking brake set or chocks installed on this?
Well, they may have done. They may have had chocks, but that kind of force is probably just going to push them out the way. I doubt they got the parking brake on, but when you know a storm of that ferocity is coming, you actually tie the airplane down to stop it doing exactly this. So I'm a bit
I've
worried
never seen
about
an airliner tied down.
Well, certainly we had it in our ops manual for Hong Kong when typhoons were forecast of over a certain category. If we couldn't get the aircraft airborne, because when we knew a storm was coming in, we refueled straight after landing, so that we had enough fuel to escape if need be, and everyone was put on standby, on call, effectively, while we were there. But if we couldn't get them off, yes, we'd tie them down.
Okay. I see that, Liz. Thank you. And One of them has gotten me tickled pink, and I'm sorry, Tim, but we're going to have to go with this person who calls herself definitely not Laura. Oops, there we go. Hello, please state who you are and where you're from.
I'm definitely not Laura, and coming to you from my airplane studio.
Very nice.
Awesome.
Nice studio.
Nice.
Definitely not
modern
Laura.
airliner.
Out in the boneyard out west. Yeah.
Perfect.
Nice mustache, I must say, sir, ma'am.
Well, I thought that was like, I thought we had to have one to get on here. So
Well, that is true, actually.
Yeah,
to be an airline captain for sure.
Yes, as I said, all the best pilots in the world have mustaches. Yes, girls too.
She clearly hasn't learned all the lessons that you and Captain Nick have, Jeff, because there's not much gray in that mustache.
No, there's not a lot of wisdom in her mustache. I can see that.
Have
Probably
you
not a lot
already
of
made
food
the
either.
appointment for your waxing there, Laura?
Well, now Nick, you can't get into those kind of personal details here.
Yeah, that is kind of personal.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
I'm taking notes. It's okay. Definitely not Laura.
Well, Laura, I mean, not Laura. Have you had a wonderful Christmas holiday celebration season so far?
I have. It's been a nice break. My actual work shuts down this time of year for a little bit, so I've had some time off, and I'm switching to a day schedule. So that's going to be
Oh, wow.
a change. So
That'll be
when I
a
go-
shock to the system.
Yeah. But yeah, it's going to be nice. So I'm enjoying that.
iHall Boxes has a question for you. How comfortable is the center pedestal to sit on?
Well, we have a special padding that we use to mitigate
Gotcha.
for that. So,
Gotcha.
as you know, Jeff, I mean,
Yeah, I got a lot of padding down there to make it more comfortable. So that's awesome. So Laura, well, somebody that I think maybe your sister or I don't know. What are your pronouns? I'm confused. Somebody. Oh, it is Laura. Look, oh, you fooled us. It is
There she
Laura.
is.
She took her mustache
I
off.
fooled you again.
Laura famously, what was it, a couple of Oshkoshes ago, during the opposing bases live recording, stood up and represent APG. I loved it. Yeah, it was great. Yes, definitely became famous.
So, next year, I'm declaring my free agency as a heckler. So,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
available for-
Get a little bit more money.
Yeah, I'm going to go to the highest bidder this year.
Oh,
so
okay. We'll
have
have
the
some.
copy funds
We'll talk.
loaded up by then. Yeah,
We'll talk. See if we
You got
can
to
work
keep in
out
mind
some.
that Jeff's on a limited income now as a retiree.
Yeah, I'm a pensioner now.
Fixed income.
Fixed income, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I've just realised, if Laura's sitting on the parking brake, that's probably how that 737 managed to turn around in the wind.
Maybe she bumped it.
Yeah, maybe she
and the-
bumped the parking brake off. Yeah.
Oh no!
Is that a
Well, shit.
737 you're in there, Laura?
I think it's an MD-88.
Oh, really?
Oh, let me take a
told me
closer
so.
look.
Looks like there's a little too much glass on that panel for it to be an MD-88.
No,
I don't
that's actually that is a Mad Dog. Yeah, we had glass. We had a glass ADI and a nav display, which is blocked by the control yoke, which is kind of a problem, a little bit of a problem.
Yeah,
we
the
actually-
side sticks, much
Yeah.
better.
And then the new B717 arrangement is a lot better too, because everything is a little bit higher, larger screens, and nothing is blocked by the control yoke. But the Mad Dogs, yeah, that's a Mad Dog cockpit for sure.
Nice one.
Good taste. Yeah. That is
Well-
good production value.
I just wanted to hop on and thank you guys for all the hours and hours of
Rubbish.
entertainment
Of quality content.
that you guys have provided, but also it's been so great to get to go a lot of you in person and hopefully we can get Nick back over here sometime and
Yeah.
subject
And
him to.
Are you going to be at Oshkosh this year, Laura, you think?
My plans are yes. So
Okay. Well, maybe I'll see you there because I might be driving up in my brand new shiny motorhome and
yeah,
see
the
y'all
party,
out there.
the party bus. That's what we're.
Oh, wait a minute.
Excellent.
Yeah, we'll soon be
We're
able to
christening
rent
it
that.
already. Perfect.
Yeah, we've already got your spot all set and
Oh,
you know,
no.
get your schedule set up and.
You know, now that I'm thinking about it, let me check my schedule. Oh, yeah, I can't make it this year.
No, Liz has it all. I've already worked it out with Liz. She's on board.
Oh, no, you guys are going to destroy my brand new motorhome. Oh, gosh.
You just got to break it in a little bit, Jeff.
Okay.
Captain Nick will definitely be here now. He's on board.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, great to see you, Laura. Thanks
Yeah,
for
congrats on your
joining us.
retirement. And
Thank you. Appreciate it.
600 And hopefully
Yeah.
600 more. And
Yeah, we love you.
Have a great New Year's, Laura. Good to see you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, Laura.
Bye. Now, I guess we need to bring this old man on board. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I think I did it. There we go. So, state who you are and where you're from and why you're here.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
We can.
Great. I'm Tim Van Ram. I'm in Marin County, 20 miles north of the Golden Gate Bridge, where the sun's come up only about 45 minutes ago. And this one decided to wake up.
Oh, who is this? What's her name?
This is Willie.
Oh, Willie. Hey, Willie.
Hi, Willie. It's Willie.
Aw.
Yep. So, yeah, congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you.
Upcoming new year and your new RV. Hope to see you out on the RV parks.
Yeah.
Especially my favorite one out at Dillon Beach, Tomales Bay.
Hey, when I head out to California, especially Northern California, I'm definitely going to get some tips from you on where a good place is to camp out.
Yeah. Then with your size rig, it's you get to add the extra outside living room, which is fabulous because then you get to interact with all the other campers. The people with the bigger ones, like you had at Oshkosh, tend to sit inside and not interact. So
yeah,
you definitely get to meet more people in the smaller rig.
Well, you know me, I'm pretty antisocial, so.
Right, exactly.
Just kidding.
I was up on the roof taking care of some Christmas decorations, and my phone fell out and it hit the deck, shattered into a million pieces. And that's when I found out that airplane mode doesn't work.
Oh, but bam! You should have warned me. I should have had the old rim shot ready to go there. Okay, I'm gonna have to. We're just gonna have to wait until I find it. Could be some time though.
Happy New Year to everyone else in the chat. It's great seeing everyone.
Cheers, Tim.
Good to see you,
Yeah,
Tim.
thanks for joining us, Tim. I can't find the rim shot.
I was going to say, you want to play the Jeopardy music while we're waiting for you to find the other music?
Okay. See you, Tim. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Here we go.
Tim.
Yeah.
No, that's not a rim shot. That's a gunshot.
Oh, it's just me.
All right. Hey, look, we have somebody else that's here to join us. Hey, Logan.
Greetings.
I'm
Hi,
muted.
Logan.
I was muted. How's it going?
Now you're not. Oh, nice shirt. I like the shirt. APG shirt. Acme Air. So, what are you up to, sir? And where are you from?
North Dakota, a little town
Okay.
called Killdeer.
Killed. You kill deer there. Okay.
Killdeer, yep.
With your car?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, just enjoying the slowdown from the busy season, the delivery season, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, he works with a certain number of letter company that delivers parcels.
the poo colored, delivery vehicles.
Yeah, it's a very united company.
They're going to be the launch customer for that.
It's a service, a united service that delivers parcels.
Yes.
Wow, I don't know how much more we could give in clues. Yeah. So I guess it must have been pretty. It's always the busiest time of the year for you, isn't it? Right before Christmas time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
it
So
was
how's the
good. Smooth season.
weather up there? Is it pretty nice and sunny and warm?
Yeah, actually, this is the warmest December I think I've experienced since I've been up here. We've been close to 50 degrees for the last couple of weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we have no snow on the ground right now.
Now, I think Liz was telling us that kind of the same thing in the Toronto area. Not a lot of snow, I guess, because of El Nino.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So
All right. So
good.
I know you have been to Oshkosh for several years in a row now. Are you planning on being there again this upcoming 24?
Yeah, I got the time off already, so
Excellent.
tickets booked already, and so I'll be there.
Awesome. Well, look forward to seeing you there this year, hopefully.
Yep.
And
I'm just in awe of all these people who make holiday and travel plans so far in advance. I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing tomorrow or New Year's.
With my company,
but I mean, this is an important event, so it's a good thing.
Well, with our company, we have to bid our vacation.
I gotcha.
In November, so.
For the entire year.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if I don't do it by November, then I probably don't go. So.
I fully understand.
I got married during Oshkosh, and I had to tell my wife that I was going to be occupied for our anniversary for the next 50 to 60 years. So I've got that much planned out. So.
How did she take that, Nick?
She was fine.
Okay.
It's all about compromise. I skipped Oshkosh for 1 year and said, "That's the one you get."
There you go. Wow.
Yeah.
Very, very benevolent of you.
What did you do instead, Nick? Go fishing?
Instead of my anniversary?
No, instead of going to Oshkosh, did you go fishing or did you spend the time with your wife?
Oh,
for your wedding?
Trying to manage expectations, personalities, all of the above.
Oh boy, I could see that was probably a huge train wreck. Just kidding, of course. Let's see. Any other questions for our parcel delivery guy? Now, are you still working on? I know you're a drone pilot, correct?
Yeah. Remote. What do we call it? SUAS operator. I don't like using the drone pilot term.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that derogatory? The term drone? Probably.
It has a certain connotation.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So I'm actually headed to Florida in a couple weeks to get a infrared camera certification for the drone. So, working on a new job that requires that certification. So.
Okay. And then at some point, weren't you taking flying lessons, or are you a commercially licensed or?
I have my private pilot certificate.
Okay, that's what I thought.
No, we're actually working on buying an airplane right now.
Ooh.
It's in the works. A little Cessna 140.
Oh, nice little tail dragger.
We were down in Texas. It's in Texas.
Okay.
Getting worked on right now. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So hopefully that works out.
Laura says she didn't realize that drone operators were such divas. Wow, Logan, she's throwing down the gauntlet right there.
I got nothing for you, Laura.
And so many women have heard that from you, Logan. But I really need to find the rim shot. I'm it's coming up with all these zingers, and others are coming up with them as well. But I just I can't find it. This is sad. Anyway, yeah, thanks for joining us, Logan. We appreciate it. It's good to see you. Glad that you were able to join the live stream. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Enjoy the tropical winter you're having.
Yes, thank you.
All the best, Logan.
For me, Jen Niffer in our audience says, just a reminder that I have an RV parking spot and electrical hookup at my house. Yes, I have not forgotten, by the way, Jen. I didn't want to talk too much to you about it because I didn't want to overstay my welcome before I even get the RV. So it's a nice central location up there for the eastern U.S., isn't it? Or I guess what would you call that area? Midwest, yes. Yeah. Okay. I don't fly airplanes anymore, so I'm terrible with geography now.
I was pretty useless when I did fly airplanes.
Yes,
You'll
and
have
you still are
you'll have
pretty
to brush
useless,
up for
Nick.
the RV though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have a
actually,
lot-
with an RV, it doesn't matter if you get lost, does it? You can just stop and
Like, oh, I'm already home.
camp.
Yeah.
Why don't we cover that last news item, Liz, and then we'll go to getting to know us. Righty. So let's see here. This one is from BBC.com. Southwest Airlines has been fined a record $140 million US by the Department of Transportation over its operational meltdown in 2022. The penalty is about 30 times larger than any other previous fine leveled against an airline in U.S. history. Millions were stranded after Southwest they only canceled 16,900 flights.
Is that all?
That's flights, not
Is that
passengers.
Like most
seats.
of their schedule, probably.
I think it's all their schedule, yes.
it's all of it.
During a busy week of holiday travel last winter, U.S. officials said the fine sets a new precedent and sends a clear message. If airlines fail their passengers, we will use the full extent of our authority to hold them accountable, said Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg. I don't know. How do you say
Buttigieg.
that? Buttigieg.
Buttigieg.
There we go. In a statement on Monday. The majority of the fine will go towards compensating future Southwest passengers affected by cancellations or delays caused by the airline, while $35 million will be paid to the government. As part of the compensation fund, the Department of Transportation has mandated Southwest to issue passengers a $75 flight credit voucher if their arrival is delayed more than 3 hours for reasons within Southwest's control. In a news release on Monday, Southwest said it was pleased to have reached this settlement with the U.S. officials. Pleased? Not sure if that's probably the most accurate word. Maybe it could have been worse. Finally, we'll end this with a quote from the Chief Executive Officer of Southwest Airlines, Bob Jordan. He says, "I can't say it enough. We messed up." That's nice, though,
Fair
that they're
enough.
taking.
That sounds like Captain Arso.
Yeah, it does.
He didn't say messed up, though.
No, he didn't.
They are. The article does point out the airline did issue $600 million in refunds and reimbursements that they paid back to passengers. So
Wow.
it's a
Wow.
lot of fine on top of
A
all of
lot
that.
of money.
Yeah, that must have emptied the war chest.
Yeah.
And just $35 million directly to the government. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's more than I pay in taxes every year, that's for sure. Yeah. All right. With that, let's do this. Getting to know us. It's the time of the show where we get to look at the crew, the APG crew, wearing very, very silly hats. If you're watching the video.
Mine isn't. Mine's just a nice
Well,
beanie hat.
I know. Yeah, I'm wondering how that happened. All right. Let's see. Yeah, we better get Steph on here before
Yeah,
she completely
well,
loses her
There's
voice.
actually been a couple questions like, why is your voice so not
Well,
great
tell us
today?
then.
I'm going
Why?
to tell you. So somehow I've managed to go almost the past 3 years, like the full length of all the time during the height of the pandemic with very minimal illness or being sick. And I suppose that's finally just caught up with me. I know some folks will recall have been keeping up with the shows that there's at least one episode I missed because I didn't have a voice somewhere around Thanksgiving here in the U.S. as well. So just 4 or 5 weeks ago, had kind of 2 weeks of this upper respiratory viral crud, which was not very fun, but wasn't horribly down with it, I guess. I didn't have a lot of like fatigue or muscle aches or anything during that first bout of it back in November. Did all the usual test stuff at that time, didn't have COVID, didn't have the flu, kind of just took the standard 2 weeks for it to run its course and finally got my voice back and I felt good for a couple of weeks. And then this past Sunday, so Christmas Eve, I was actually at the local NFL game. It was the Panthers hosting the Green Bay Packers on a nice sunny, like 60-ish degree afternoon. It was really nice to be outside. and take the game in, but I kind of just started to feel like the back of my throat was, a little off. I kind of just felt a little off. And then woke up the next morning on Christmas Day, which was not a nice day. It was rainy and miserable and kind of gross weather, and just felt like just horrible. I had I didn't have a fever, never had anything over a normal temperature, but chills and sweats and aches, and my throat was on fire, and I was congested again. So I felt a lot worse with this go around of whatever it is. But I had a couple days off of work, fortunately, and the weather was not great. So it kind of just, was miserable along with the weather for a few days. And it seems like it's kind of just par for the course for me, where if I've got congestion and post-nasal drip, I end up losing my voice as part of all of it. So I think that's kind of just a non-specific thing that happens to me, but I've lost my voice again. It's kind of cooperating right now. It takes a lot of effort to make volume. So sorry that it's not ideal for podcasting, and that it chose, the 600th episode and Jeff's birthday and retirement and everything else to
no problem
crop up. But
interestingly, what you just described, the postnasal drip and the into your chest and your voice going and everything, that happened to me several times the last couple of winters, and so far, knock on, I can't find any wood anywhere. I know that's what she said.
Oh, no.
That I've so far this year, this season, I haven't gotten that whole thing going on. So.
But coming up on, Mark, who was here earlier with us, Dr. Mark, has prescribed an urgent course of go around Aroundicillin.
Yes.
I thought about it, but just, man, the side effects of the stomach cramps. I don't know if I need more symptoms to add. I might take Laura's suggestion and add some more cowbell.
Yeah, definitely.
But I'm coming up on the end of, days off of work. So I did go by the local urgent care to do another round of tests. It's not COVID. It's not the flu. It's not strep throat. Who knows? Just the crud. Yeah.
The creeping
grunge.
crud.
Yes. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad I could be here. And if my voice disappears completely, I'll just sit here and smile and wave for the rest of the show.
So interestingly, I think anyway, today is a Saturday, and you're usually busy flying on Saturday mornings. Is it not? Is it kind of shut down for the season?
Yeah,
or?
we take a couple weeks off over the winter because usually the weather's not great. Although today's
good
not,
for us.
It's cold. When it's 44 degrees on the ground, it's not a lot of fun up in the air. It's a little chilly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll bet. All right. Anything else, Steph?
No, that's it. That sums up the rest of my holidays and the week. Has been, it's been a journey.
Yeah, well, we're glad that you're here to help us celebrate. I remember that 200th episode, sort of, mostly, that we had down in Miami.
The beginning parts of it.
In 2016, and it seems like not long ago at all that we enjoyed a lot of fun, and now 400 episodes later, we're celebrating 600, and I mean it just wouldn't be a celebration without you here. So I'm glad you were here with us, Steph.
Glad I could make it.
Yeah. Camacho, how have you been doing? How was your Christmas holiday?
It's been good. We've had a bunch of people in town, so haven't accomplished much ancillary to the holidays, but got to spend a bunch of time with my siblings who both came into town, and then also my wife had her siblings in town, so a lot of running around between families, doing a lot of holiday stuff. Managed to sneak out to the Kansas Aviation Museum, which I think we've talked about maybe about a year ago. Took my son, and then my brother-in-law took his son, and we went over there and went through the museum again. It's always fun to take the boys over there. They have a good time and get intrigued by various different displays each time we're there. So that was a lot of fun. Outside of that, not much else, I guess. I think that's about it.
All right. Any updates with the Debonair?
I got a few more things installed, ready to go to put the engine in. I'm getting very close. I feel like every time I think we're about there, I've got 2 or 3 small tasks left to go. Then the 2 or 3 small tasks turn into larger tasks than I had anticipated. I was replacing a firewall pass-through. That was with an aftermarket firewall pass-through, basically, and I thought that would take me about an hour, but it took some modification and some rework on a couple of things on the airplane, so that ended up eating up most of an evening. But I've got the firewall all done, all the control cables, so we're very close to putting the engine in.
Very good. Very good. We can't wait to hear more about that. And looks like it would be best for me to tell you a little bit about, because everybody else has left. Let's see. I've been doing a lot of singing, of course, for the Christmas holidays at my church. And let's see. On my birthday, I treated myself to a movie. My birthday was the day after Christmas. The day I turned 65 years old, the day that I am actually really officially, technically retired from Delta Airlines. And so I went and saw the movie. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's an Emma Stone. She stars in it, called Poor Things. And it was really good. I thought it was a pretty good movie. Thumbs up from me. And then that evening, my daughter gave me for my birthday a gift certificate for the Little Alley Steak restaurant, which is very close to where I live, within walking distance. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to use that sucker right away. And so I walked over there to the Little Alley Steak and had a wonderful aged New York strip and a spinach brulee and a nice. I didn't have any wine. I had some beer, and the restaurant actually gave me a free dessert, a creme brulee that I actually had them put in a little takeaway box because I was stuffed by the time that arrived. And anyway, so enjoyed my birthday at Little Alley Steak, and just a couple of days ago, I had lunch with my youngest daughter, Natalie, and we had a nice Vietnamese meal. And so it was nice seeing Natalie, and we exchanged gifts because her birthday is New Year's Eve. So, tomorrow. And let's see. Oh, I received about a week ago, I'm not sure exactly how long ago, received it was a text message with some audio attached, and you might recognize this person, and you'll definitely recognize his voice, I'm sure. And so we're going to go ahead and put this here like this, and I'm going to hit play.
Hey, Captain Jeff. I'm sitting up here in Massachusetts, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm up here celebrating the wonderful holiday of Christmas. Then I reminded myself that this is your time of year, your birthday time of year. And being that said, that means you're turning 65. You know what that means? You're getting out of my way in seniority. No, I'm really only kidding. Gonna miss the ever-living crap out of you, sir. It was an absolute pleasure to be your co-pilot, your friend, your compadre on APG. Miss the community, miss you, miss the crew. Hope things are going really well. I'm looking forward to watching you as you go into retirement and enjoy the freedoms and fun times you're going to have for many, 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 many years to come. I think you're going to enjoy exploring the country, not worrying about flying an airplane, although I know you'll miss it. But after 35 years, I think it is 35 years. Yeah, I think 35 years. Wow, that's a long time that you've been flying for Acme Airlines. I think you can finally maybe actually say the real airline now that you're not going to be flying for them anymore.
Delta.
But in all honesty, congratulations. A long, happy, healthy, and exciting retirement ahead of you. Also, I think, if I remember correctly, you've got 600th episode coming up. That's such an amazing accomplishment as well for this community that you've created. It's an amazing community of people, friends, fellow aviators, fellow aviation geeks, all the above, who absolutely love listening to your show every week, week in, week out, and look forward to the interactions that you have provided and have built in this community. Yes, I know how humble you can be, but it is you, Captain Jeff, that has built this entire community. Congratulations. Wish you all the best of luck. Captain Dana signing out. Bye-bye.
Yeah,
I refuse to take the credit or the blame. Go ahead.
I
Nick.
think it's great. Great compliment.
Yeah, it was great to hear from Dana. And was it the 300th episode that we did at Dana's place?
It was.
We did?
He hosted us there.
Yeah.
300 episodes.
300 episodes ago. Wow. That's great. Thank you very much, Dana, for sending that wonderful audio message. And we see Main Man Micah is in our green room. We're going to get right to you, Main Man. But first, I'd like to play some feedback that we received from some dude that hosts another podcast.
Hi, Jeff and the gang, Pip here. I know airtime's at a premium on today's show, so I'll keep this super short. Just wanted to say happy APG 600. Happy holidays, happy Christmas, happy birthday, happy retirement, happy New Year, happy Festivus, happy landings, happy camping, and happy Gilmore. Love and hugs to everyone. Bye.
I love the last. Happy Gilmore. Yeah.
Perfect.
Always great to hear from you, Pip. We saw you in our last episode at that Christmas curry. And in fact, this is a pic from that gathering, wearing that very smart-looking Fly Acme Airlines cap. So thank you for taking the time to send in that little congratulatory audio, Pip. We do appreciate it. And he was with us here in the live chat. He said he had to leave for a few minutes, but he said he was going to be back. Yes, Jen, I flew for Delta Airlines. She said she had no idea.
It's such a well-kept secret.
Yeah, let's do that. Yes.
Would have missed that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should probably mute myself when I'm talking to Liz in the back channel, shouldn't I? One of these days, I'm pretty new at this whole thing. I'm going to figure this out. Yeah, I'm going to figure this out. Trust me. Why don't we go to Nick, Captain Nick, and hear what he has been up to, and then we'll bring in Micah. So go ahead, Captain Nick.
Yeah, hi. Well, it's just been Christmas week. We normally have our family all together, but for the first time in a long time, my number 2 son no longer lives close, so he has moved house to Mark Anderson's area in Cardiff in Wales, and moved in with his the new love of his life there. So he was very busy. He did pop over just to spend a day or two with us. And we all managed to get together at the restaurant, Jeff, just in the village, the Majaban, lovely Indian restaurant. Had a great time there. And then we enjoyed a great Christmas with my number 1 son, Rick, who came down from London. Anyway, that's been it, really. Like everyone else, just enjoyed a nice family Christmas. And I'm actually looking at my Christmas present now, which are a pair of nice, large and bright fill-in lights for video. So I think they've made quite a difference. I really like them. They're
yeah,
good.
You look great.
Yeah, I've only got them on 50% power as well. Otherwise, it's like looking at the sun.
You're going to get a nice tan.
Yeah, some sunscreen.
Absolutely. Well, look, I'm just delighted to be able to find enough time over Christmas to produce a plane tale for the 600. I hope we'll hear that in a little while. But the only other thing I did of any note was, of course, the artwork from last week.
Oh, yeah.
And this was a funny one, really, wasn't it? Because you said you'd be turning into a pumpkin. That gave us the main idea for the character. But the rest of it, I realized, is based around something that doesn't really happen in the United States. It's all very UK orientated, which are the pantomimes that are held in almost every theatre in the country, which are a kind of a slapstick event, a story of an old fairy tale of some kind. So you are actually dressed as Cinderella there. So I hope
that's me.
Yeah, that's you.
How can you
Cinderella.
tell?
Well,
Look at the mustache.
well, I've actually taken your eyes, your glasses, your eyebrows, and your moustache from...
I definitely recognize the mustache. Yes.
And put you on the pumpkin, so that's you. I gave you a few extras, which are a bit panto-orientated, so forgive me. In your right arm, you got a hook.
I see that,
from Peter Pan, so you'll have seen the hook the Captain Hook wears. At the bottom of your feet is an apple that would have been probably eaten by Snow White. We've got a cat in front of the milestone for Dick Whittington. Turn again, Dick Whittington. We've got your slipper, of course. I don't know if you'd fit in that slipper or not, sitting on
yes, I do.
The milestone. Indeed, yes. Of course, you're surrounded by mistletoe because you're just waiting for everyone to come and kiss you. And then we've got Aladdin. And
get a close-up of that, Liz, of Aladdin.
We did deal with a story where
the next slide.
Some unfortunate person who... who had been flying in a, what do they call those things, Steph? A wingsuit?
A wingsuit, yeah.
Yeah, who was decapitated. So since Rick wasn't going to be with us, I was pretty certain about that. I thought I'd include him as being the decapitated Aladdin.
You know, I did tell him that, he was concerned that he wasn't going to be able to make the 600 episode. And I said, well, hey, don't lose your head.
Oh, yeah. Very good. Very good. And, of course, he's actually being decapitated by Santa, which I think was a bit unfair of him. Now, for those who like searching the pictures, for some reason, I shall have to have a word with my picture editor. The APG logo is missing from this one, but I do have the show number. Now,
Liz, you can go to the next.
Yeah, I think, thought it was amongst those syringes. Which, of course, came from the story we had about EpiPens. But they could equally have been Steph's go-around-a-cillin, I think.
I had no idea, Nick. I was looking everywhere. I could not find any numbers for the show episode. And Liz thought it was inferred from your next, episode 600. But I thought, actually, you know what? I'm going to throw in the zoom in on that syringe because it looks like there was some writing and I couldn't really make it out. So I'm thinking that's the best guess that I have. So that's why.
Well, you actually, it was a good guess. Next APG 600, because if you look underneath the line, you're not going to be able to do this, are you? Or perhaps you can zoom in.
I did not do a zoom, of that because I didn't know to look for it.
Well. On the line that separates APG from 600, you can see the faint outline of 599 because the sign writer obviously got the numbers wrong. So he filled them in and scored them out. So that was 599 and then 600. He wrote 600 underneath. So you just have to look closely underneath that diagonal line on the milestone and you'll find 599.
Okay, well, let me see if I can somehow zoom in.
This is about as unhinged as the pantomime videos I've seen. Yes, I think you're probably right there. Yes,
I see it. I'm zooming in on the on the photo, and I'll put the zoom in of what you were talking about for the show number in our chapter images, and you'll be able to see
Excellent.
it. So,
okay.
all right.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty weird, isn't it? And I'm not quite sure what a pumpkin has to do with Cinderella, but oh no, of course, her carriage was a pumpkin pulled by 6 white mice. So there you go. That's where the pumpkin comes from.
Yeah,
it's a bit of a ferocious version of your mice. I had to stretch it to match his upper lip, and so it became a bit. And you've got very good. You've got quite staring eyes in that picture, which are a bit disconcerting, I think.
Yeah, very disturbing. In fact, when I was looking at the zoomed-in image there, Nick, I'm thinking, thank goodness he didn't use my real eyes, but I guess I'm wrong.
They are your real eyes, definitely. Yes, indeed. Yeah, your real eyes, your real glasses, your real eyebrows. I'm sorry about that.
Wow. Yeah,
and your real teeth.
Sorry.
Right.
Okay. Was that it
That's
for
a
you?
bit it for me. Yeah,
Captain
yeah.
Nick?
I've got nothing else. Yeah.
All right.
About that.
Well, let's nothing to be sorry about, sir. Let's do this quickly. Oh, that's the wrong one. How about this one? There we go. Jeff Smith, the Jingle Master.
Johnny, how much more coffee?
No thanks.
I'll have some though. I love coffee. I love tea. I love the APG community. Coffee and tea and the Java and me. A cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup. Oh yeah, the Coffee Fund. APG Java Jive by Jeffrey Smith. Thank you, sir. That's your way to support the show financially if you have the resources to do so. A couple of different ways that you can do that. One is called the Coffee Fund Classic Method. And since our last episode, we have Ludger Humpert and Michael Smith. And I have to say, both of these contributions to the APG Coffee Fund Classic were very, very generous. So thank you, gentlemen. I think it was both of them said in honor of 600 episodes. And in fact, Michael Smith added a note, the reason for the asterisk there. Thanks for the great show. Happy birthday and happy retirement to Jeff. Again, that was from Michael Smith. So thank you very much, sir. Much appreciated. Another way that you can become part of our Coffee Fund cadre or Coffee Bar Club is via Patreon. You can become a patron of the show. And information about that is available by heading over to airlinepilotguy.com/coffee. You'll be glad you did, and we will too. Okay, and before we do any of that, and I'm talking to Liz right now, I'd like to bring in main man Micah. So here we go. Hey.
Hey, everyone.
Micah.
Everything working okay? You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Very
So tell
cool.
me, tell everybody, we know, of course, but tell everyone who doesn't know who you are and where you're from, please.
I'm from the Portland, Maine area, and I've been a listener for quite some time. I found you through another podcast and have been sort of a part of the show on and off since then. Been on the show with you a few
Yeah.
times. We even did a couple of recordings from my kitchen, which was pretty fun.
Absolutely. And in fact, Micah, you say, you've been here on and off over the years. According to Leo Laporte, you are the airline pilot guy, and this is your show.
Oh, yeah, but, Leo's a tech guy. He's not the podcast guy.
He's a netcast guy, not the podcast. Well, no, I guess he's a podcast guy now, too.
But,
Anyway.
Jeff, I wanted to say, first of all, happy birthday and welcome to the Over 65 Club now.
Thank you.
Nick and I can tell you how much fun it is, and it all goes downhill from here, but it's still okay. And congratulations on your retirement. I want to say I sort of celebrated that. I had some friends that flew down from Portland, Maine, down to Fort Myers for the new year, and they said, "We're flying Delta. Is it safe?" And I said, "Yes, it is now."
Now it is. Very good. Very good.
So
I
that's
think
cool.
I actually did find my rim shot. There we go. Boom.
And then the other thing, Steph, I'm so sorry that you're sick because there's no reason for it. About the same time you came down with this, because it was weeks ago, I made a big pot of minestrone soup, and that would have cured it right away.
I have no doubt. Yeah.
And Jeff can attest to the fact that it's pretty good. In fact,
Good stuff.
Can as well. But now you're beyond that. I would need to make the chicken soup now. You don't start with the chicken soup.
No. I start with the minestrone, then the chicken.
And then you work up to it. But it's a long.
I didn't know there was a protocol.
Oh yeah, there's always a medicinal protocol. Steph can tell you that. But
Okay.
Ben Franklin, he was once asked, "How do you cure a cold?" And he says, "Well, there's only one cure for a cold." He says, "But you really can't cure it." He says, "But there is one cure." He goes, "What's that?" "Well, you turn it into pneumonia, and there are cures for pneumonia." So that's I think what's happened, Steph, is that you had a cold. There's no way to get rid of a cold, but you turn it into pneumonia, and then there are treatments for that, right?
Yes.
Great advice.
Well, hopefully not pneumonia. Actually, I know it's not pneumonia, so thankful for that. But no, I would have definitely taken you up on the offer for the soup. That sounds lovely.
But anyway, congratulations on 600 shows. I remember when the Airplane Geeks got to 600 shows.
Yes. The longest running aviation podcast in the world. Aviation Geek.
But
Airplane Geeks, I'm sorry. I messed up.
Just like Leo. But I do need to say, and this is actually really important, but really, really fun. You heard our recording that Brian and I did from down in Florida when we had our meetup for our little podcast that both people listen to, and we did have a couple of people show up, but they showed up because they were APG listeners. Nothing to do with us. Nothing to do with the Airplane Geeks. We had a meetup of APG listeners down there, and it was a lot of fun. And thank you for helping us.
Now, don't take this the wrong way, main man Micah, but and I know you won't because you are part of this APG community. Like you're one of the standouts of our APG community. Our APG community is awesome, awesome people. They're the friendliest and the best people that I know. So it doesn't surprise me at all that they're the ones that showed up to your guys' meetup.
It's a great group, and your meetups are always the best. And I've been a part of quite a few of them.
Yes,
Sorry
you have.
for having one for this, but it's a great combination. It's a great combination of your birthday, of 600 episodes, and a well-deserved retirement. And congratulations to all of you.
Thank you very much, main man Micah. Appreciate
Good
it.
to see you, Micah.
All the
Happy
best,
New Year.
Micah.
Take care. Happy New
New Year.
Cheers.
See ya. Thanks, Micah.
All right. Very nice. Okay. I think that, how close are we to the 2-hour point, Liz? 6 minutes. Why don't we do one or two pieces of feedback, then we'll do the plane tale. All right. So I need to do the feedback bumper, and here it comes right now.
Captain, incoming message.
This is from Sir Peter of Kent. Methinks the captain protests too much. As we all know, Captain Nick is firmly a plane guy, and he loves referring to airplanes as just planes. Don't you, Nick?
I do.
I know you don't. Balloons and helicopters aren't his things, or so he claims. Today, I spotted this RAF helicopter flying over Oxfordshire, and look who's waving out. Okay, so it's the time of year when there's more than one jolly bearded chap flying around, but I think we all know who it is. Yeah, look at that. That's definitely Nick.
Pretty impressive beard. I mean, I've grown my beard a bit, but I don't think it's quite reached those proportions. Still, it's lovely to see the old Pumas flying around. You know, that was my very first squadron I was attached to flew Pumas. I was holding with them before starting my training in the Air Force, and I couldn't really do anything because I was such an ignorant young oik. So I spent most of my time hitching rides, riding in the back of these things, or sometimes in the front, which was much more fun, flying around the countryside. And boy, that was good fun. I thought that was a brilliant job.
Very good. Well, it looks like you're having a great time there.
Indeed, yes. I hope I've got a strap on. I need one of those safety straps. I don't know if...
Well, we've heard about you and the strap-ons.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to this. Thank you, Sir Peter of Kent. This is from Steve.
16 inches.
Wait, I think there's something here that I can play. Hang on. Yeah.
16 inches high.
Wow. That's a lot.
Very impressive.
Yes. Very impressive. Okay.
Right.
This is from... moving on. Yeah, it's a family show is another one that I need to find, but I'll stick that in here right here. Okay. Steve says, hello again, APG crew, with reference to the VAR check. Now, remember the need to kind of talk about communications and that sort of thing in so many different types of relationships, but British Airways pilot group got together and kind of lectured or talked about the importance of communications to some referees of football referees over there. And he says, Steve says, I'm an ex-referee and airplane geek. There is no standard language used in refereeing. The feedback from the video referee was, quote, check not complete. The referee heard check complete and restarted the match. Wow, just one word made the difference there.
Yeah.
My thoughts are that using negatives in such a way is clearly poor practice. Yeah, clearly. Also, there is a team of referee, 2 assistants, and the 4th official. No one questioned the referee for continuing. This is very reminiscent of pre-CRM cockpit communication, where the captain's actions were not questioned, leading to numerous accidents. Thank you for reading my previous feedback. Keep up the great work. Keep the sunny side up. Happy retirement, Captain Jeff. Best regards, Steve. Thank you, Steve.
Yeah, it's good. I wonder what the 4th official does. Does he just walk around being officious?
Officious, yeah. I think that's a word.
Indeed. I just said it because it's a word.
Yeah, of course it is. Okay, Liz.
Like walking back and forth, just very.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
Yep.
Whistle
Everything seems above
seems
board
in
here.
order. Yep.
Yep. Everything's above board, in order. Exactly. That would be. I could do that job, I think.
I know.
It's a great
I'd like
retirement
to.
job.
Yes.
Okay. That or Walmart greeter. I don't know. It's a toss up between.
Well, I think you'd probably be okay as a baseball umpire, wouldn't you? Because I've seen lots of videos of them, and anyone can do that job.
Yeah, but as Liz is saying, it's kind of hard on your knees. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. All right. Well, you know what time it is? Yes, the best time of the show, which is, of course, the Plain Tale, the old pilot's Plain Tale. And this week's entitled, appropriately, Flight 600.
The Old Pilot's Plain Tales, Flight 600. Let me take you back to the dim, distant past and Captain Jeff's start with his legacy airline, Acme. Delta. No, Acme. Delta. Acta. Delme. Or whatever. His career started not in the captain's seat, but somewhere in the bowels of the flight deck, sitting sideways with control panels in front of him instead of windows that stretched to the ceiling. Jeff was an engineer on his favourite three-holer, the Boeing 727. Boeing had launched their first jetliner, the 707, in 1958, and only 2 years later they addressed the need for an aircraft that was more suited to shorter flight lengths from smaller airports. The original 727, that would eventually be named the -100 series, rolled out on the 27th of November 1962 and flew in early February the following year. 12 months later, it entered service with Eastern Airlines, and in 1972 the type was acquired by Delta, who eventually held the world's largest fleet of 727-200 series with 129 airframes. There had been conflicting requirements amongst the customer airlines, but since the twin-engine regulations of the time banned overwater routes that went beyond 60 minutes flying time from a diversion, Eastern, with its Caribbean services, won the day, and the other airlines agreed on a tri-jet design. It had been suggested that Boeing work with the British manufacturer de Havilland, since both were producing tri-jets, and Boeing intended to use a Rolls-Royce Spey power plant built under license by Allison. Cooperation between the companies ended when Boeing favoured design features more suited to an American market, with 6 abreast seating in the narrow body and an ability to use the shorter runways found in rural areas. The Hawker Siddeley Trident, as it became, however, beat the 727 into the air by more than a year. By 1960, Pratt & Whitney were completing the design of their new JT8D turbojet engine, which, despite being 1,000 pounds heavier than the Spey, was preferred by Eddie Rickenbacker, the chairman of Eastern. Boeing reluctantly agreed to offer it as an option, and it later became the sole option. The 3 engines were all mounted at the rear, 2 either side of the fuselage in pods and 1 in between them, the intake of which was blended into the T-tail. The number 2 engine was mounted internally, within the tail section, with the jet exhaust at the point of the fuselage. In order to feed the air to this engine, an S-shaped duct connected the two, which proved to be a troublesome design. Airflow distortion in the duct, particularly during power changes, could surge the engine, which occurred during the very first takeoff, right at the point of rotation. This gave the test pilots, Lou Wallach and Dick Slosh, a few moments of concern, but the maiden flight continued safely. Whilst the number 2 engine design problems were mainly cured by a change to the S-curves, the inclusion of vortex generators on the inside of the first bend, and instructions on careful throttle handling, the wing design of the 727 was much admired by its operators. With no wing-mounted engines, it could deploy full-length Kruger flaps inboard and leading-edge slats outboard right up to the wingtip. The trailing edge was equipped with highly efficient triple-slotted Fowler flaps that helped give the wing as a whole a 3 times advantage in lift coefficient when compared to a clean configuration. Being designed for America's smaller and simpler airports, the 727 was given a few distinctive features to aid operation. It was the world's first airliner to be equipped with a gas turbine auxiliary power unit. In the past, auxiliary engines had been used on aircraft from blimps like the British Coastal class in World War I through military aircraft like the Supermarine Nighthawk to the US aircraft like the B-29 Superfortress and C-47 Skytrain. These motors were various models of 4-stroke engines that powered a DC generator and nicknamed by the Americans Putt-Putts. The small jet engine fitted to the rear of the 727 powered the electrical and air conditioning systems without having to start a main engine when external equipment wasn't available. In addition, the aircraft featured a built-in air stair that lowered from the rear fuselage to allow passengers to come and go when the airport lacked sufficient external air stairs. The 727's rear air stair could initially be raised and lowered in flight, This novel feature was used by the hijacker D.B. Cooper as an escape hatch from which he parachuted with $200,000 of ill-gotten gains. His disappearance with most of the money remains one of the world's most fascinating unsolved mysteries. To prevent copycats from using this convenient feature, at the insistence of the FAA, a spring-loaded air vane was fitted that deflected when flying, obstructing the door and preventing it from being used until the aircraft slowed below flying speed again. In order to access short runways, the 727 could lower its flaps to a full 40 degrees, a feature that may have led to a number of aircraft losses in the first few months of operation, killing a total of 131 people. The airliner was able to build up extremely high rates of descent, particularly with full flaps deployed, which the pilots, unaccustomed to this new aircraft's capabilities, failed to arrest in time to prevent impact with the ground. In most cases, there was little evidence to finger a specific cause, but all occurred in descent prior to starting an approach or whilst manoeuvring during one. A number of carriers banned the use of more than 30 degrees of flap on approach, even going so far as to install plates on the flap selector to prevent the handle from going past the 30-degree position. Amongst some pretty noisy aircraft of the time, the 727 was one of the most deafening. The JT8D engine was a low-bypass turbofan, the efflux of which created severe shearing when it exited the engine, a major cause of jet noise. In 1972, when the U.S. Noise Control Act mandated the introduction of quieter engines, Boeing determined that the JT8D-200, a higher bypass and more fuel-efficient engine, could be fitted to the sides of the fuselage in the number 1 and 3 positions, but the bigger fan couldn't be squeezed into the restricted place where the number 2 engine sat. A hush kit was eventually made available that allowed the 727 to fly past the end of the 90s. 727 was very successful. It ushered in the bus stop style of short-haul flying that served small communities throughout the world. Boeing needed to sell 200 airframes to break even, but for over a decade, more 727s were built per year than any other jet airliner. In 1984, production ended, with 1,831 airframes delivered, the highest total for any jet airliner until the 737 surpassed it in the early 1990s. The loss rate of this iconic airliner was unhappily quite high. As of 2019, the aircraft had suffered 351 major incidents, of which 119 resulted in a total loss. The loss of life resulting from these bare numbers has risen to over 4,000 souls. One addition to those sad statistics came from Flight 600. The aircraft was a 727-200 series of Alia Royal Jordanian Airlines. It first flew in 1974 and was barely 4.5 years old. Juliet Yankee Alpha Delta uniform was operating on a scheduled passenger flight between Amman Queen Alia International Airport in Jordan and Doha International Airport in Qatar. The date was Wednesday, the 14th of March, 1979. The airliner had been named the City of Petra after the remarkable UNESCO World Heritage Site, described as one of the most precious cultural properties of man's cultural heritage. On that night, the destination weather wasn't great, but the trip had been uneventful until the crew commenced their approach. The weather forecast indicated a wind from the east at 17 knots, visibility of 10 kilometers in thunderstorms, 1/8 of cloud at 2,500 feet, and 3/8 at 3,000 feet. The controller added that a thunderstorm was building to the northwest of the airfield. The first officer was handling the aircraft. He requested an approach to runway 16 and was given a visual approach, with the provision that he could fly the NDB VOR procedure if conditions required it. The crew reported overhead the airfield for an instrument approach, and the controller replied that heavy rain was now falling. Shortly after, the NDB non-directional beacon failed. It's believed that it had been struck by lightning, but within a few minutes it was back online, and Flight 600 reported that they had completed their procedural turn and were now inbound. They were cleared to land. 4 minutes later, the 727 reached minimums and had commenced a go-around, having failed to see the runway. After climbing away, they requested an ILS approach onto runway 34, which would allow them to get closer to the ground and from which they stood a better chance of completing a landing. They were so cleared, and whilst they were positioning, the controller gave them wind readouts of 180 at 6, 150 at 13, 150 at 15, and 140 at 17. They started their approach, but with the significant tailwind and problems keeping to the glide path, the crew informed the controller that they would go around for a second time and divert to Dhahran. They initiated the go-around at 300 feet, above their minimums, applying go-round power, moving the flaps to 25 degrees and raising the gear. The 727 climbed to 750 feet, with the speed falling to 140 knots, but that's as high as they got. The aircraft descended rapidly, reaching a rate of 4,200 feet per minute, the speed rising in the last few seconds to 170 knots. It pancaked into the ground almost wings level, with the nose about 10 degrees up. Mortally wounded, the city of Petra bounced up, rolled inverted, and then crashed back into the ground, sliding tail first into the fire station, about 2,500 feet from the first impact point, breaking up as it careered along the ground. A post-crash fire engulfed the wreckage, causing more loss of life. 64 people were on board. Of the 15 crew, only 4 died and 2 were seriously injured, but amongst the 49 passengers, 41 perished and 6 were seriously injured. The inquiry decided that the probable cause of the crash was wind shear due to a microburst from the thunderstorm. The severity of the microburst exceeded the performance of the aircraft to overcome it. The board stated that the encounter came about because of the crew's decision to conduct another approach to land without taking into account the severity of the weather over the airfield. Microbursts generally raise the fear factor for most pilots, and most successful airline pilots avoid the conditions around which they occur. Typically, they're associated with cumulonimbus, that is, rain-bearing cumuliform clouds that may or may not be described as thunderstorms. Such clouds have usually developed from a couple of thousand feet up to 30, 40, or 50,000 feet, and within them are circulating currents of air that hold enormous quantities of water and extend up into regions of very low temperatures. When conditions allow, cold, heavy precipitation made up of rain, hail, or virga, that's rain that evaporates before reaching the ground, falls out of the cloud in strong downdrafts that can exceed 6,000 feet per minute. When one of these columns of air, usually around 2.5 miles in diameter or less, hits the ground, it spreads out in all directions away from the impact point. Should you meet one, you'll initially encounter a strong headwind that causes airspeed to rise, and you'll be forced upwards. This is usually countered by throttling back to reduce the speed to normal and by increasing the rate of descent to get back to the glide path. In a mile or so, the headwind reduces as you fly into the downdraft. Speed will drop, and the aircraft will be carried down with the column of air descending towards the ground. The falling speed may cause a stall, and asking sluggish engines to accelerate from a low power setting to transition into a climb is often a forlorn hope. Many have failed to recover. Even if one manages to pass through the downdraft, the dramatic change from a strong headwind to an equally strong tailwind is often enough to spell disaster. Such was the finding of the inquiry. For Alia 600, their flight ended in tragedy. But for our airline pilot guy, APG 600 will, I'm sure, end in quite a different way. It's a milestone for Captain Jeff's marvellous career, and whilst he is giving up the left-hand seat for some other lucky candidate to fill, he's moving on to an equally rewarding part of his life. He will take his RV into the promised land of retirement in the sure knowledge that he is admired by many and has done himself proud.
I'm not dead yet.
You sound like it.
No, I sound like it today.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah.
Steph sounds like she's dead.
You sound like you've had some go around the ceiling.
Yeah.
Who has an interesting comment? Oh, Jen, look at that. A few weeks back, we had 3 727s on the ramp at the cargo airport. Very unusual these days.
Yes, they are.
It's a fan. Thank you for.
Most of them are crashed.
Hey. It's a great jet.
It was indeed.
One of the best that I've flown, and it's the only one that I've flown all positions on: flight engineer, first officer, and captain. And
I was thinking doggy mission.
Yeah, I know. As soon as that came out of my mouth, I'm thinking I should not have said positions. Yeah, but I do really appreciate you. Coming up with such an uplifting. Couldn't you find any Flight 600s that were like, nope. Had a happy ending?
No. Well, there are many. Indeed, there are a lot of Flight 600s that have a happy ending, but they're not very interesting to talk about. Exactly right. One that plummets into the ground under a microburst. Now that's interesting and educational. So sorry about that, but from that point of view, I thought it was a great way to just remind people that it doesn't matter how damn sophisticated your aircraft is, a microburst can exceed almost every airliner's performance capabilities. So when you think there's one around or it might occur, just get out of the way for a while.
Yeah, you can always go around.
Right? Oh, indeed. Sadly, these people were going around, but...
Oh. Well, okay. Never mind then.
But there you go.
That's an awesome photo.
Oh, look at that great picture of you, Jeff. Oh, that is super.
Well, thanks.
You are the bee's knees, sir.
That was the 200 episode down in Miami.
Yes,
that was a little while ago.
Yeah, a little while ago. I do have my wings, Liz. Let's see, right here.
Wasn't there a story about the tie in that picture?
Oh, look at those wings.
Yeah, those are my Acme captain's wings. The story, Liz, behind the tie? No, that's just a... That was a
tie.
Was it a Christmas tie?
It's it's an Epiphany tie.
Epiphany.
It's the three we three kings.
Oh, I see. Yes.
The Magi, the gifts of the Magi. I'm the gift.
But there are
of the
only
Magi
two
here.
of them.
Well,
There's
I mean,
3.
I can't show the whole thing. So it's limited space on the tie.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, yeah. So thank you very much, Captain Nick. Oh, I was going to mention that there were several things that you were talking about during this that I thought, oh, I could comment about that. But the one that it's most significant to me is the going from 30 flaps to 40 flaps. It dramatically changes the deck angle. In fact, if you don't warn the flight attendants that you're going to 40 degrees, you'll probably hear a big clunk as they roll down the aisle and hit the cockpit door. That's how significant it is.
Oh, wow.
And, yeah, it's you hardly ever do the 40 flap thing. And then if you land with 40 flaps, it's just, I mean, it's great performance, very little, landing distance because you're going a lot slower. And I don't know, just the angle of it, hitting the runway is such that you can really get a nice short landing roll, but you cannot get a good landing out of a 40 flap landing unless you're just extremely lucky. But anyway, so we hardly ever did them.
Well, that's
Craig,
good, because sounds like it was something of a potentially troublesome flap setting.
Yeah, it was. Craig Messerman in our live audience says there's a DAL 600 landing in the Cayman Islands in half an hour. He just checked FlightAware. Thank you, Craig. That makes me feel so much better. That is a positive. And then, of course, we're going to find out that the flight ends up crashing. If so, we'll have to edit this out, speaking of something that might uplift our spirits a little bit, is another community member, APG community member, Carrie Kenner in the Charlotte, North Carolina area.
Hey, Carrie.
Yay. Welcome.
Greetings, everyone. Happy 65th birthday, Jeff. I was glad I could reuse that photo on Slack of the sign I got my wife for her 65th.
Oh, did I miss that?
Somebody responded to it.
Okay. I'll have to check it again. Here, let me do that right now.
But congratulations on your 600 episode. I've been listening since you were running the show alone, and been to several of your meetups, Kansas City.
Yeah.
A few in Charlotte, Oshkosh, and number 500 in Atlanta.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, you've been there for the long run, Carrie, and I do appreciate it. And yeah, all the strange thing, I still had some trouble wrapping my head around when you were in Kansas City for that meetup, and then you say that you live in Charlotte, and I'm going, so what are you doing here again? Why are you here?
It was strictly coincidental.
Yeah, worked out well. I think that was the first time that we met in person, wasn't it?
It was, yes.
Yeah.
I went back and checked, and I'm disappointed that I never got to fly as one of your unruly passengers. But I have flown, and not by choice, the Mad Dog with Delta 221 times and 87.
Oh, wow. You're a sucker for punishment.
and 87 more on the 717. Which
wow.
Is all they like to fly out of Charlotte.
Now, I know that's I've been in and out of the Charlotte airport, which I love so many times in both the Mad Dog and the 717. And Nick, I have to say, come on, we flew from Atlanta to Pittsburgh in that Mad Dog. Was that really such a bad flight? Do you remember that? No.
You flew?
Oh, you and me.
Yeah, we were passengers in that.
No, it was a great flight. I was, a tail, an aircraft with the engines in the tail only upset the economy passengers. You gave up your seat. You gave me the beautiful seat in the front where it was quiet and peaceful, and I was impressed by the rate of climb. I thought it was a super little aeroplane. It was like a jet fighter with 50 people on board. It was very impressive. I loved it.
Okay, well, you were dissing it before, so.
Yeah,
okay.
I know. Well, I tend to do that. just in my nature. I'm sorry about that.
Okay.
Well, hopefully most of Carrie's travels were near the front of the Mad Dog and not
most of them were.
Away from those damned engines.
Not back in the back where you don't have a window and you're right next to the engine.
Yeah, that is not a good seat back there.
No, you do that once, and then you make sure that never happens again.
That's where the non-revenue passengers sit on most of those flights, sadly.
Yeah.
And I got you something for your RV.
Oh. Yeah, and I for sure will be putting that on my RV.
Oh, good job. That's really
I do
good.
appreciate the
We'll
thought.
take care of that for you, Carrie. We'll make sure it ends up on the RV.
That's not funny.
Oshkosh.
All right. Thanks so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank
All
you.
around.
I hope that your Christmas holidays are going well, and I hope to see you again soon.
Yes, all is well. Thank you.
Lovely to see you.
All right.
Take care, Carrie.
Bye.
Bye, Carrie. All right. So nice to have Carrie with us. And let's see. I guess now we could okay. So let me, where are we doing? We're like 35. We got about a little over half an hour left. Okay. So let's do number 8 from Captain Jur. Now, he told me exactly how to, is that right? Jur or Jur? Jur. Okay. Anyway, I think Jurgens, I think is actually his full name. Anyway, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Dear APG crew, through this impersonal method, I would like to thank you very much for another year of lovely aviation banter. I wish you all a very Merry Christmas with your loved ones and time to reminisce about 2023. Until the new year, hopefully we get a chance to share a few tales and brews. Blue side up, and then he gave us a sign-off in Dutch, Blauw boven, which I'm not sure. It sounds like blow air up your skirt or something like that. Is that what that stands for? I'm not sure.
Let's see. Should I do a quick? Hold on. Let's see. Someone in the chat room will probably know faster.
Yeah, he included a couple of yes.
It means blue above.
Oh, okay.
Like
keep the blue side up. Keep the blue side up. Okay, awesome. Thank you. So he sent us a couple of images. Santa Claus is coming to town, and it's an airliner coming in for landing. And then the next one, I won't read word for word. I wonder if my blank landing is still thinking about me, too. And that's Kermit the Frog.
Less than stellar.
Yes. Yeah. I wonder if my crappy, or here, wait, maybe I could do it this way. Maybe if my Jenny, oh, nope, that didn't work. I wonder, let's take
nice
2.
Try, Jeff.
I wonder if my landing is still thinking about me, too.
Nailed it.
Thanks. Well, close enough. Thank you, Captain Jur. Enjoyed meeting you and your crew when you came in for that layover in Atlanta a few months back. One of the highlights of my year. Number 14. Okay. This is from Alan, and he says, ho, 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 Merry Christmas. Hope you all had a lovely festive time and a healthy and peaceful new year. Happy birthday and retirement, Jeff. Trust me, now the work really starts. Laugh out loud. Yes. Thank you, Alan Loveday. Appreciate that. A nice picture. I guess, is that Alan? I guess all dressed up in his gear. Yeah, nice. You look a lot like Captain
dodgy
Nick.
looking parcel under his left arm.
I don't know.
Is it just a pillow? Like the pillow behind him on the
Yeah, I think it's just the upholstery of the
You
chair.
reckon?
Yeah.
I think it's his stash.
Could be.
Yeah. After all, you'd need something special if you were going to sit in that chair all day.
Yep, that's for sure. All right, you know what? Let's go ahead and play some audio feedback that we received from, is that okay, Liz, for me to do that next? Okay. Received some audio feedback from our good friend Paul, and here we go.
Servus, Jeff, and the APG community. Servus is another greeting in Slovak. when you greet friends and favorite people. I was listening to Rob Mark earlier today on the Airplane Geeks podcast, and they're talking about the Hawker citation incident at Houston Hobby a few months ago, talking about the cockpit voice recorders. Well, that's all I seem to ever hear is cockpit voice recorders. Aren't there air traffic control voice recorders as well? Are there not other communications going behind the scenes that we don't hear since we only hear the cockpit voice recorders? What do you guys think? Is that maybe something that should be listened to? It would be nice to have access to, maybe. Would we hear other voices that's going on in the background? Are there things going on the controller side that we don't know about since we don't hear controller voice recorders? What do you guys think? Do you think that could change any outcomes? I'm sure the FAA looks into all these different voice recorders, and I'm sure they listen to both recordings, right? Am I right? Is there even recordings in the FAA control towers? Will we hear anything different? Okay, gotta go.
All right. Thanks, Paul. Am I right?
Yeah, you're right.
I don't know the answer to that. I know that we have all the recordings that they in their communications radios, and I know that they also record the landline communications that they have with other controllers and control facilities. But as far as like an area mic, like we have in the cockpit, an area mic recording the various sounds in the general cockpit area, I'm not sure if they have recordings or even a microphone up in the tower cab. Do you guys know?
I'm not sure about that. I do know that everything that's happening on the screens is being recorded as well. So like where cursors are and the pages that are being looked at.
And the things that they're typing in on their keyboards.
Yep.
Yeah.
All the audio is on all of their lines, be it radio or landline, recorded. But I don't think casual conversations, unless they're picked up in the background of a mic communication, are recorded. At least I've never heard of it. So
I haven't either. And I don't recall ever seeing in any kind of a preliminary or final report or the transcripts anything of actual those kind of conversations going on.
But I don't know what benefit, because almost all their communication is done through the headset. It's not like they're shouting across the tower telling people to do things. So I don't know what benefit that would be.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, Paul, good question. Perhaps you should ask those co-hosts of the best aviation podcast in the world, Opposing Bases. They might know the answer to that.
I doubt it.
Well, they'll make something up and sound like they know what they're talking about, like we do here.
Of course.
All right. We also received some audio feedback from Vernon Tryon in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. No, Fort Pickens, Alabama. No, Fort Morgan, Colorado, I think is actually where he's from.
Good morning, Captain Jeff. December 26th. In case the world didn't know, some way or another we just kind of subtly figured out, today is your retirement day. Happy retirement. Happy 61st birthday. And this is yet another chapter of the APG life retirement. Continue with the great work. We love it. As those of us who never became airline pilots could vicariously do so through APG. Greetings to the crew and Happy New Year to everyone, and have a great retirement. Captain Jeff, look forward to seeing you and during your travels. This is Vernon Tryon, former CFI air traffic controller and some other things at Fort Morgan, Colorado. Take care and blessings to you. Bye-bye.
I love it. He knows that we love hearing all that music in the background. He made a point that he'd have that background music running. Thank you very much, Vernon, for the wishes of happy birthday and happy retirement. We do appreciate that. And he's been a long-time listener as well. So, and it was nice. I actually met him in person up with Maine Man Micah, and we were up in Maine, and he was as well. And we had dinner together. That was nice. It was a couple of years ago, I think. Anyhow, you wanted to say something, Steph? No, you were just smiling. Okay.
Yeah, I
Such a
can't
pretty
talk
smile.
anymore.
Okay.
So I'm just
Well,
smiling and nodding.
Just sit there and smile, and there we go. It's so nice. Yeah, nice little wave as well. Like the Queen. Rest in peace. Let's see. I want to number 7. Let me take a look at. Actually, before we do that one, can I do number 9? All right, let's do number 9 next. And let's see, let me pop that in onto the stage. And we can do this so we can see everybody. And this is from Erbium. Probably not his real name, I'm thinking, or her name. The title of the email, Wild Tugs Hunt in Packs. Hi, Liz and the Flyers. I've never heard anybody with that salutation before. Apparently, tugs at Amsterdam hunt in packs. The attached video and link to the source on Reddit show blue tugs leaving KLM planes to peacefully graze in the meadows while they chase down a lone delta that strayed into their territory. Let's take a look at what he's talking about here. Okay. Wow, that is something that I have never seen in my life. This will be in the show notes.
Looks kind of creepy, doesn't it?
It does. It really does. It looks like big giant insects, big, bright blue insects or light blue insects with wheels, like getting ready to attack that poor, lonely Delta. What was that? A
Wounded
330
bird.
Yeah. Pushing back from the gate there. That is. So he continues, says, someone said it was a retirement event. Has anyone in the crew ever seen anything different from the old water cannons as a send-off? I haven't. Anybody on the crew seen this type of thing before? I'm wondering how in the world they got approval from Amsterdam Schiphol ground control to do that, or ramp control. I don't know what the deal is there at Schiphol.
And I wonder how many aircraft were sitting there going, "Oi, where's my tug?"
Yeah, exactly. It must have been something important for them to, be taken from their normal duties and do that. But that's pretty impressive. I'll bet that the captain that was retiring there was well loved and well known at the airport.
Perhaps he was an ex-tug driver. You never know.
Could be. Okay, what do you think, Liz? What's next? Okay. We've had this in our feedback lineup for some time, and one of the reasons why we kept skipping it is because, at least for me, I don't know who it's from. It says anonymous. I have a feeling Liz probably knows, but okay. So let's see. I think you covered the snowstorm in Germany that closed down the Munich airport, or if you didn't, I'm sure you will. Yeah, we didn't, and we're covering it now. Related to that story, I thought I would send 2 pictures taken a few days later. For those not familiar with the busy airspace of the North Atlantic between the U.S. and Canada, U.S./Canada and Europe, it's divided into tracks called the NATS, or the North Atlantic Track System. Airplanes are separated laterally and by airspeed and altitude. I think I know who this is. The tracks are like one-way highways in the sky. Usually in the evening, early morning, traffic goes eastbound, while in the late morning and afternoon, traffic goes westbound. There are exceptions, such as cargo, that normally goes in the opposite direction, but they use random routes that separates them from the other traffic. So imagine my surprise earlier this week, and this was sent in a little while ago, while approaching the NATS eastbound, going to Europe, when I saw on my iPad a fellow Acme Global airplane going the other way. That's odd, I thought. Maybe a mechanical issue? Then I saw another Acme Global airplane also heading westbound from the Nats. I mentioned this to the captain, and we both agreed that this was unusual enough to warrant further investigation. One airplane turning back was odd, but not unheard of. 2 flights turning back was very unusual. We checked the flight numbers in the company database. One flight was Dulles IAD to IAD. The other was Newark to Newark. Now, we love flying airplanes, but no company that wants to stay in business just sends airplanes on long trips to nowhere. I checked the original flight information, and both were supposed to go to Munich. This really got us interested, as we were also headed to Germany. What was going on? We sent one of the airplanes a message via ACARS and quickly got a response. Germany could not guarantee the airplane's landing slots at Munich or anywhere in Germany. With that information, both airplanes turned around just as they were entering the NATS, or the North Atlantic Track System. Yeah, wow. So, although Anonymous here doesn't tell us what they did, I'm wondering. Yeah, that's talking about leaving us hanging there. I'm guessing that they probably turned around as well. I don't know. And then he sent a link into a story regarding this very, very heavy snowfall. I did hear about this, actually. This is a few weeks ago, at least a couple of weeks ago, because my fellow choir mate, who also an Acme pilot, was talking about crew scheduling, trying to assign a trip, and he flies an airplane that flies from Atlanta to Munich. And so he did some research before he called him up and either accepted or didn't accept. And he saw what was going on there, and he goes, nope, ain't going to do it. Let somebody else try to do that. Yeah. Anyway, some pretty nasty weather. All right. Thank you, Anonymous. We got that one knocked out, Liz. Number 10. Oh, hey, we have another piece of feedback from Paul. And let me make sure I get the right one here. And we can go ahead and add that to the stage. And oh, okay. Oh, that's the video. Okay, hang on. I can find that. So we'll leave that up there. And do this. And yes, from Les, he says, hey, mister, I think your Cessna caught a fish. Always remember, when landing on bare ice of a northern Minnesota lake, your brakes won't be worth a poop. You know, that seems to be a common thread in this episode. Poo or poop. Only thing injured in this instance was the pilot's pride. And so let's have a listen.
This update now from the Beltrami County, Minnesota Sheriff's Office on a plane landing on the ice and breaking through it. Quote, today, December 19th, Tuesday, Upper Red Lake, Minnesota, a Cessna 172 Skyhawk landed on Upper Red Lake and broke through the ice. All the occupants were able to self-evacuate from the airplane and were assisted by other anglers on the ice. At approximately 9:20 a.m., the Beltrami County Emergency Management Communications Center received the report, and a Beltrami County boat and water deputy were near the scene. The deputy was able to use binoculars from shore to confirm the 2 occupants had made it out of the plane and were being assisted to shore. The plane had departed from Grand Rapids, Minnesota, with the destination of Upper Red Lake for a day of ice fishing. After conducting a flyover, the pilot identified what was believed to be a safe landing area. Upon landing, the absence of snow resulted in the plane having difficulties slowing down. Eventually, the plane slid into an area of thin ice, and the nose of the plane broke through into open water. This resulted in both occupants becoming wet from the waist down. They were brought to an area resort and provided dry clothing. Only 1 to 2 inches of ice was reported where the plane went through, approximately 1/2 mile out from Pioneer Road on the southeastern shore of Upper Red Lake. The pilot had already made contact with the recovery operation and made arrangements to extricate the plane. The deputy informed the pilot of the requirements regarding removal of aircraft and must contact the deputy when complete. Beltrami County Sheriff's Office was assisted by the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources conservation officers. Arrangements have been made to remove the airplane. That's from Sheriff Jason Riggs of Beltrami County. I'm Neil Carlson reporting for iNews.tv.
iNews.tv. Thank you very much, sir. Yeah, so I guess the lesson here, what I'm gathering from this is the guy came in, made a kind of a low flyby. Hey, it looks pretty good. And didn't take into account the fact that there was really nothing to add any friction to the landing surface. And so when he touched down, the thing just didn't want to stop. It just kept going, and then eventually led him into an area where the ice was much thinner than it should be and couldn't support the weight of the Cessna. Like, oh, can you imagine like being there while it's all happening going, uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
Are you thinking about doing something like that with your Devonair, Camacho?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Actually, the first time I taxied it around in a very cold scenario, I got it stuck in the snow.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Too much friction.
Too much friction. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting.
I don't know. All these, I know there's places where there's ice runways and it's routine to do that type of stuff, but that just makes me nervous. Not my idea of flying that I really want to be doing. I don't think if there's a chance you can.
I would love to do it with skis.
Sure.
There's another guy in our airport that has a champ with skis, and I've always thought it'd be fun to put it.
Skis on the snow would be fine, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that would wouldn't be such high pressure points from the individual
wheels,
tire patch or whatever, right? So they'd kind of
Yeah.
distribute the weight a little bit better.
Yeah. Yep. 1 to 2 inches of ice is not sufficient to
No,
very much.
I wouldn't stand on 1 or 2 inches.
I wouldn't stand on 1 or 2 inches of ice.
There are plenty of big airports in Norway where they don't even bother to snow clear. They flatten it down and grit it. And well-compressed snow or ice, as long as it's sufficiently gritted to give a friction surface, it makes a fine runway.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds fine too.
Very good. Yeah. All right. Let's do this last piece of feedback from another one from Paul, and then we'll wrap the thing up for today's episode. And so let's hear what Paul has to say.
Hello, everybody at APG headquarters in Atlanta and everywhere else. Hope everybody's doing wonderful. This is Paul from between Cleveland and Pittsburgh. As far as possibly de-icing a carbon fiber aircraft, running current through the Faraday cage, I think would be a really cool idea, Captain Nick. I kind of wonder if you would introduce magnetism or any such anomalies as you run current through a Faraday cage on an entire aircraft body, would that affect instruments or anything like that? Are there any engineers out there that may know? The other thing I'm curious about, I probably have about 200 or 300 flights under my belt by now, of course, being a passenger on commercial aircraft. How many times do you think there was an emergency declared and the passengers knew nothing about it because everything went great? Or how many times do you think there was an anomaly where they had to do something special and the passengers had no clue because everything went great? What are the odds, would you guess, this has happened and I had no clue because the pilots knew exactly what they were doing? Okay, SpeakPipe says, I am done. So take care. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Thanks, Paul. He just barely got that in. He's getting good at it. He's got it down to the last second with SpeakPipe, and you can also leave a message on SpeakPipe if you'd like. If you head over to airlinepilotguy.com. I think contact us is where you'd find that. So let's tackle the mesh, the copper mesh or whatever it is inside the carbon composite aircraft, and sending. I know that Nick kind of facetiously, maybe, or
definitely
sending electricity through.
Yes.
Yeah, what do you think about that? Would it create magnetic fields? Probably that or worse.
Well, of course, it has to, really. If you pass electric current through someone, you'll generate a magnetic field. But there's electric currents flowing through wires all over the aircraft, and they each create a small magnetic field. So I don't think it would create that much difference if you had, warming pads, or what this guy was going to do, which was run tape that generated heat through electricity over the wings. I think it would be very similar. But no, it's something you have to look into in detail if you're actually going to do it. Mine was just a casual observation, not really a serious suggestion.
Well, I think I do have an answer for the second question he asked regarding, how many times has something happened, like an emergency declared or something like that, that the passengers knew nothing about. And I think it's 5. I think that's pretty much the
Is that all?
answer. Yeah, this is very few times.
I've probably had about 1 a year.
Yeah, I was going to say.
About it.
Yeah,
But
a lot.
You're right. There are very few where I've actually told the passengers about, because most of the time it's just a bit of a yawn and we've lost a hydraulic system, or we have lost one computer, but there are 3 more looking after that system. And it doesn't really affect anything. We don't declare an emergency. We don't need to do much except run the checklist and take it into consideration. Say, if we lost a flat computer, the flats will be slow to deploy, that sort of thing. So you just go, all right, well, we'll ask for a slightly longer straight-in, or we'll configure the airplane a bit earlier. And I've even had an engine failure and not bothered to tell the passengers because, well, it was an inboard engine. We had 4. Now we're down to 3. And Jeff loved an aeroplane with 3 engines. So
normal operations.
Absolutely. So really, and it's an inboard engine, so it doesn't really present any major difficulties. So no, we don't bother to tell people. We tell the engineers, obviously, they're going to need to sort the airplane out on landing. But no, if there's something unusual going to happen that could upset people, like we're going to be met by the fire trucks, and they're going to see them as we come off the runway, and we might even be expected to see if we're safe to taxi, that sort of thing, then of course you do, because you don't want them to be concerned. But sometimes telling them about every little thing that might have gone wrong on a complex aeroplane will cause more anxiety than anything else. So, yeah. Yes, Liz could be having a meltdown in the back. Yes, we don't want that.
Hey, this just in. Breaking news from Craig Messerman. Delta Flight 600, a 2-hour and 55-minute flight. Oh, that's coincidental, isn't it? Landed safely in Georgetown. Yay!
Oh, you should have done a blade tale about that.
Yeah,
I don't know why we weren't all just
have.
going to.
Yeah, I know. It'd have been pretty short. Well done.
No, better. We should have just all been going to the Cayman Islands today for episodes.
There you go. Well, good to hear. Thanks, Craig. Appreciate that. And that isn't that because we're right at the 2-hour and 55 point right now, which are really close to that. That was iHaul Boxes. I'm sorry. I see. Thank you, iHaul Boxes. I'm sorry, I gave attribution to the wrong person. All right. Micah says, where were you for that engine failure, Nick? And what did you do? Return to base or go on?
We were on the Nat tracks coming home. So we were over the Atlantic Ocean, and we were just about 20 west. So we had 100 miles of the Nat tracks to go. But at that, we'd burned off most of our fuel, so losing an engine wasn't a great drop in performance. We had time to think about it, and luckily we made easy radio contact with Gander, who were by then our controlling authority, negotiated a drop in altitude. We had to go down about 3,000 or 4,000 feet just to maintain altitude because we had slightly less power. And we carried on. And that was it, really. We landed under a pan call, so we got a level of urgency. But no, we didn't bother telling the passengers. And my first officer landed it. Experienced chap, did a very nice job.
Excellent. Everybody lived
Happily ever after.
Exactly
After. Right.
All right. Very good. Well, it is now time for us to wrap up the milestone episode 600. And I just have to say, I never imagined back on episode Catholic Pilot episode 1 or APG episode 1 back in May of 2011, I think is when I rebranded it, that I would have all these wonderful people who have become my best friends. Well, yeah, Liz, why don't you pop yourself into the group here, so all these wonderful people can hear all these lovely things that you're saying. But it's become such a great family for me, and not only our crew here, but also our extended family out there, all of you in the community listening to the show. Wow, it's just been an amazing time. And if somebody had said, if you're going to have 600 episodes in the can, I'd say, well, you're losing your mind. I'm never going to do this for this long.
No, they said that for other reasons.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true. We did lose our minds. Anyway, so I just wanted to say a big thank you. 200 was like the first time that we had a huge celebration, all kinds of friends and merriment involved in that few days. 300, 400, 500, had the big 500th episode last year. No, 2 years ago. Wow. And then here we are at 600, and I don't know, we're going to continue going, even though I'm retired. Doesn't necessarily mean that we're ending the show. And no, we're not changing the name of the show. It's still Airline Pilot Guy, even though we're not all airline pilots and we're not all guys. But yeah, that's and I'm not going to call it the Retired Airline Pilot Guy Show. That's done. So everything is going to stay the same. And
we'll just poo-poo that right now.
We got a brand and we're sticking to it.
Yeah, that's it. So I don't know what else to say, guys. You want to say anything else before we?
Yeah, I do, Jeff. I just want to congratulate you. This is such a milestone. 600 shows doesn't seem so much, but this is the culmination of a fine career. And it just so happens that 600 has happened at the same time, which is wonderful. And from my personal point of view, I want to thank you very much indeed for including me in the crew. And I wish you all the best for your retirement, and good luck.
Thank you so much. I intend to share it with you all, whether you want me to or not.
I'm just going to say ditto what Nick said.
Ditto to me.
Yeah. Very eloquent.
So, Jeff, if we say an average of 2.5 hours per show, you've done 1,500 hours.
Oh, you can go to the regionals now.
I was going to say,
that's all.
Airline pilot.
Yay! All right. All right, so I guess we do our normal wrap-up from here then and say, check out our website. We tell you this every time. How many times do I have to tell you? AirlinePilotGuide.com. Lots of good stuff there. And we're on social media, or my old man way of saying it, Socialmedias.
If someone wants to jump in and do that, that would be awesome.
I'll do that. Facebook, you just search for Airline Pilot Guy. That's all one word, and you'll find our page. On Twitter, we're at APG Crew. And on X, we're at APG Crew. Instas are the Instagrams, which you can go to if you want to have a peek at the artwork. APG Crew.
There you go. And we are also on Slack. Again, Hillel is here for the 600 episode in my in my shower. Hey, hello. Hello, can you do Slack?
Okay, but I'm dripping wet.
That's okay. Come on over here.
600 dripping wet Hillels.
Yeah, okay. Go back, put the towel on.
He doesn't learn.
I got a video camera here. People can see you. Oh, my gosh.
What's the tackle like today, Jeff?
it's he's going for some big game fishing right there, I can tell you. All right, come over here and tell us about Slack.
APG listeners, please join us on our Slack team. Slack is a communication, coordination, and sharing platform that works on your mobile, laptop, or browser. On Slack, we share news and ideas, we suggest episode and Plain Tales topics, we plan events and meetups. To get into the Slack team, please email me at slack@airlinepilotguy.com. That's SLACK, Sierra Lima Alpha Charlie Kilo @airlinepilotguy.com. Or send me a tweet with your preferred email address to @Hillel, and I'll send you an invitation. That's Hillel, spelled Hotel India 11 Echo 1, and see you in Slack.
Thanks a lot, Hillel.
Jeff,
What?
did you loose on my back again? Oh, yeah. Right there. Just like that.
Okay, that'll have to do for
Come
now.
back, Jeff. You missed a spot.
Okay, still got the show. We're wrapping up. All right, that Hillel's quite the character, I think. Anyway.
You sound like my dog.
Yes. I don't know where. I could think of a couple of ways to go with that setup, but I'm not. And also, we'd like to thank Liz for all the work that she continuously
great
does.
job, Liz. Thank you.
I mean, 24/7, 365, before, during, and after the show. Thank you, Liz, so much for all the help that you provide and support that you provide for us. And with that, we're going to do the standard sign off and say, wishing you clear skies, unlimited visibility, and talons. Douglas?
Cheers, y'all.
Bye, everybody.
See you next time.
Here's to the next 600.
Yay!
Hey! Good job, Jeff.
Thanks to everybody in the chat.
Nicely
too, and
done,
the
Jeff.
People who dropped in was great.
Yeah, and you as well, all of you. Great plain tale, great commentary, great analysis, all that.
We've missed a Plain Tales, Nick. It was great to have it back.
Yeah, it was great to have it back.
No problem.
And thank you, live audience. Look at all these people
Fantastic.
Here. Great crowd that we have here. Thanks, Jan Niffer, one of our Coffee Fun Classic recurring contributors. Many of you here in the live audience are. Let's see, we have Richard Adams and David Lieb and Craig Messerman, Tanya, Richard Adams, I think I already said that. Yes, Super Fred Driver and iHaul Boxes and Mark Anderson, Ludger Humpert. Thanks again, Luger, for that nice, generous contribution. Tim Van Ram, well, what can you say about that guy?
Not much.
Nah. Just kidding, Tim. We love you. I love all of you. Carrie.
And Willie. We love Willie.
Willie. Oh, yeah, little Willie. Oh, that's sad, isn't it?
Tim and his little Willie.
Tim and his little Willie. I'm never going to forget the name of his dog now. Main Man Micah.
Do we have any title
Yeah,
suggestions?
so many people there. Okay, titles. Anybody have any suggestions?
All right, these are the ones I've already got. Over the Hill Show. I'll do Jeff walking away over a hill. The Girls' Moustache Show. Blue Above. Zimmer Pilot Show. Stair Truck Dies.
Okay, I've got a couple of suggestions.
Go on then.
Wisdom in my mustache. We were talking about having a gray mustache, that there's wisdom in his mustache.
And lots of other stuff as well.
Yeah. Your snacks related. And not Laura and others on the show.
Okay.
With guest appearances by definitely not Laura and all.
That was definitely not Laura.
Definitely not Laura.
Not with that mustache.
Okay.
Or you could just have like
Or-
guest appearances would be a good one. Maybe.
I think we should leave all the the poop stuff out of the show
Yeah,
title. Though.
no poop.
Not for
today.
600.
We had lots
Okay.
of it
There was
on
lots
the
of
show,
poop
but
talk, poop stories.
There was a lot of poop talk. Yep.
Well, I don't know. It's a very attractive subject.
Yeah, Nick wants it. Nick wants
It's
it.
like
You turn your recorder off, John?
I actually leave it on a little bit
that-
longer just so that I
okay.
can
Okay.
get these suggestions in case we forget some of the title
Jen
suggestions.
votes for Over the Hill and
Yeah.
Wisdom in My Mustache.
I'm with High Hall, no poop, but wisdom in my mustache. I like. That's great.
Wisdom and
I like how you guys think that Nick won't work poop into
There's
the
going to be
artwork.
poop in
Oh,
there.
he'll
because
definitely.
we
I'll
don't
sneak some poop in somewhere. Don't worry. I'm just trying to think. How do you put a picture of wisdom? I mean,
You'll figure it out.
I could put poop in my mustache.
Oh, that's disgusting.
That's it. That's the title. There's poop in my mustache. Like a snake in my boots.
Oh my god. Oh dear.
Oh, yeah. I think I'm going to stop the recording on
Or maybe we
the,
could just have the 600th. We could just go for the 600th.
or just
Just keep
600.
it classy.
APG
Yeah.
600, 600.
Poop in his mustache.
I
Subtitle.
got poop in my mustache. That's disgusting, actually, now that I'm thinking about it.
It's totally
I mean,
disgusting.
I could do Jeff like a character out of Toy Story with a piece of string coming out his back going, I got poop in my mustache. That would be quite good, don't you think?
Think about all the various ways we could use it in the future. Also,
I
It's like
know.
a-
Indeed,
It's
yes.
Recycle.
This brain is a wonderful place or a scary place.
It's a scary place, yes.
Scary,
Not a
yeah,
wonderful
pretty
place.
scary.
Wonderfully scary place.
Yeah, I'm going to have to try and work out how to make Jeff into the Toy Story character.
I have a feeling that
There
this
are
is
a lot
a
of
done deal now.
similarities.
I think I like wisdom in my mustache better than poop in my mustache.
Yeah,
I
but
agree. I agree. A little more
oh
flattering.
dear.
All right.
Anyway, everybody, thanks
Well,
so
all right
much for
then.
joining us.
Who's
Yeah,
the
thanks
god
for-
of wisdom? Because I could do the bottom of the god of wisdom pooping into your no.
No.
He's so upset.
Well, it's
See-
I just can't put wisdom. Wisdom's isn't a thing. Well, it is a thing, but it's not something you
it's
can
not the list-
illustrate.
yes.
all
it's
the
hard
gray
to-
in his mustache. Just show a picture of
I
his
like
mustache.
Jennifer's idea. 600 and just put a mustache on it.
You can put a
I
mustache
like
on.
that. I think that's
Oh, it's
simplicity.
not a bad idea. Actually, we could put Laura's mustache on it. That would
Yeah.
be interesting.
I do like I Hall boxes. Our 600th try.
Yeah.
We'll get it right
there
eventually.
someday.
Actually, sadly, there's more than 600, but that's close enough.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thank you so much, and
Yep.
especially those who came on with us to actually
was
be on
great.
the show. We do
Indeed.
appreciate it. Went spectacularly well. I
Very
thought
well.
for sure that there'd be some
No.
issues with all that, and it worked great. So thank you very much for making it work.
Happy 2024, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Cheers.
See you for
Bye,
season
everybody.
1.
Thanks, Tim.
Hopefully I'll see